Fallout Shelter. You ever played that?
No, I haven't. You know, I wanted to
I hit
talk
the wrong
about,
button.
Hellblade 2 does.
Are you sure? I feel like I should have hit a different button. Okay? I really feel like I should have hit a different button, man. Okay? I'm gonna try a different one. Oh.
I ain't gonna lie,
By the way, you think I'm
actually
playing?
have me react
You
to
think
this
I'm
on
playing?
stream before it
Look at my
dropped.
clock.
It's all good. Shout out to Sense, man. You know what I mean? Always looked out for him. That's my boy. I think Sense killed that shit. Fire. Yo, I like Central C Flow. I like his raps. I'm gonna be honest though. I think Lil Baby definitely won here. I'm convinced. Like he definitely won here. Like he gotta be. There's no more like he definitely won here. I think like he hear the beat, but he don't hear the beat. He hears something else. So you know what I mean? Like Central, Central is going crazy. I'm like vibing. I'm in my UK Mandem flow right now. Like I'm like yo, the thing is up in it. Like I'm going crazy. And then Lil Baby coming, I'm like, yo, why you disturbing my peace like this? Hey man, we gotta get Lil Baby to an ear doctor, man. Yo, Sench, you should have hollered at Drizzy for this one. I ain't gonna lie. Or, yo, y'all rappers gotta start picking right now, and maybe I should have played his shit. Maybe if I play his shit, I don't know if I'll get flagged. Yo, y'all rappers need to start going to the Better Baby right now. The Baby. The Baby's the Better Baby right now. I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't no liar, nothing like that. Y'all know me. Right now, the Baby's spitting like his house is in foreclosure, nigga. Like his house is up for auction, nigga. Like he's behind on his mortgage, nigga. Like this nigga is, bro, I'm telling you, this nigga, the Baby going crazy. Real rap.
Not like a niggas ain't like me, dope boy, white tee, fitted hat. I was shooting craps and playing spades when you play kitty pat. I was talking nigga, put his hands on you, then hit him back. And if he acting like he wanna put his hands on you, then hit him first. I was hopping out with trash bags and bitches full of work. That's the last few niggas that play with me, they'll tell you bullets hurt. And I ain't talking about the pews that you sit in, but I got that wooden church. If a church shooter come walk the sanctuary, I bet I put him down. I'm the one that up.
Wait, y'all think I'm a little hating on Baby? Nah, I'm really not. Bro, it's something about like, bro, I used to just really, let me tell you about Baby real quick. And by the way, the Baby is killing it. I'm talking about Lil Baby. Lil Baby, every time he comes on, it's like, bro, like, just think about the songs we love. Be like, yo, a love letter came in. Like, his melodies were, like, great. Like, his melodies, like, the pocket he found was great. His bars were always good. These days, he just sound like he just sound kind of droned out. Like, I don't know if the voice is getting worse. I don't know what it is, my nigga. But, like, he's not finding the harmonies. Like, you got to realize, Lil Baby, as much as I've given him credit for having bars, he's a melodic type rapper. That's why, you know, eventually we thought he was going to get to the top to compete with a Drake, right? These days, he get on the track. The reason I say he's deaf in 1 year, might need a hearing aid or something, is because, like, I be listening to them, like, I don't even know if it's a melody like he trying to do. I'm like, yo, this shit just don't, it just don't sound the same. It don't sound the same to me, okay? And again, I'm waiting for one of them infectious melodies. And by the way, I'm not gonna, listen, this is not the hater stream. He's doing what I said he should do. Remember I told y'all that? I said, baby, go hop on a bunch of other people's shit and kill it. Now he hopped on Sench's shit. I don't know if he killed it, but Sench did his thing. He needs to body. When I mean body, he got to get back to, remember him on 24 with Money Man, even though Money Man did his thing. You know, he bodied that. He bodied the City Girls records. He got to get back on, you know, again, I don't even know which was, that's the next thing I'm about to throw to y'all because, can I play this BBL Drizzy shit? I don't know if I could play it. I shouldn't start YouTube yet. Actually, the official version ain't going to be out till like 5 minutes from now. Okay, so Drake hopped on Sexy Red's track, and they flipped the BBL Drizzy beat, which I got to see the production credits because I don't think that's the Metro. Yo, it's so crazy. Everybody's acting like Metro is a genius, and I understand now why Drake said it. Metro, shut your whole ass up and make some drums. Metro did nothing on the BBL Drizzy beat except speed up the sample and add some drums, literally, okay? Everybody's giving him credit for BBL Drizzy. No, there's an actual artist who there's an actual BBL Drizzy song it's like a 70s, 80s type song, and the person did it with AI. That shit was going viral, and basically all Metro did was take that song and speed it up. So I don't know why everybody's acting like Metro's a genius. The genius is a nigga who made the BBL Drizzy song. You get what I'm saying? Because he actually even came out, which I don't know if you guys care about this. He came out and said, yo, the effect of making a song in 2024 sound like a classical 80s tune, right? He did that with AI, which I said, wow, that's actually a really dope use of AI. Usually people are using AI to mimic other current contemporary artists. He took that back and he did some old school shit with it, which, by the way, on a separate note, kind of makes me think, damn, imagine if, The Weeknd or like Tory Lanez, when they did their 80s album, imagine if they employed AI to kind of make some of the sounds and even some of the backup vocals and some of the, back in the 80s and 90s, they had all these little girl groups, or actually even 70s too, they were like snapping and harmonizing, like all of that, and it was like background vocals for some of the lead singers. If AI could be used like that to kind of create a more nostalgic feeling, right? Because not only, and I know I'm ranting already, I'm sorry, Chad, but welcome to the stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. Not only is that great, that it's being used for different things, I've always thought that, current day hip hop have burnt out all the classic samples. So like all the classic songs, whether it's, Al Green, or whether it's like, certain Brian McKnight songs, or, OJ's, like there's certain groups, or even the Supremes. A lot of those samples have been burnt out because they've been sampled over and over and over and over again. How do you get new samples? People do like the nostalgic feel of like an older school type of song. If people are creating these 80s songs that are kind of like not real, but I guess they're real, but they're using AI, shit, it makes for dope shit for people to sample, and that's what Metro did. Anyway, the reason why I said that, we're going to get into it. Drake did rap over the BBL Drizzy beat. I don't know if it's produced by Metro, because again, all Metro did was add the drums. The sample belongs to somebody else. So I'm pretty sure that Drake is not going to just swallow his pride and just take Metro's beat. He probably got another producer to sample it, just like how Metro did, and literally just rapped over that version. That's what I think. I don't think that's a Metro produced beat. But again, I keep telling you, Metro don't own the sample. Anyway, welcome to the stream, chat. Welcome to the stream. We don't need cable, says Ack. There's always some stream, some samples left. Well, you know what I mean? Again, like, of course, there's always samples left. There's millions of songs, but like, sometimes,
What do you think actually
again,
won the war?
people would like samples to be clean, or would like certain words being said. Now with the use and the invent of AI, you could do a lot more with it, okay? Now, Chad, I'm sorry I kind of went late, live this late today. I'll kind of give you what's on the agenda. I was really contemplating, let me just stream tomorrow in the daytime rather than now, because, I might only give y'all like a 3, maybe 4-hour stream tonight. And I was just like, I got to stop doing that on a Thursday, because Thursday is when music comes out. And if music comes out and people are dissing or whatever's going on in the music, I hate when I'm reacting the next day. So I'm going to stay on, and that's one of the reasons I got on here, okay? Really quick on the agenda. And also, I don't want to get behind the news, because I didn't stream for 2 days in a row. Okay, couple things on the agenda. Diddy gets hit with 2 more sexual assault lawsuits. One of these are like completely and utterly like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm just so flabbergasted I don't even know what to say. There's a chick who claims she got like, essayed by him 20 years ago, and she said she kept the clothes that she wore when he forcibly penetrated her for 20 years and put it in a plastic bag. I'm gonna be honest with you, that seems like a problem already, bro. You tell me that you kept whatever's quote-unquote evidence for 20 years in the closet, hoping that this day was gonna like happen, or I don't know what the fuck. We're gonna talk about that, because again, we know, again, just to be very clear for anybody who's ever tuned in or will tune in, we ain't defending Diddy, but we are skeptical of everything, including even Diddy, all right? Our job is just to analyze all the facts, see how much they make sense. Listen, if it's smoke, maybe there's fire, and we're just trying to put 2 and 2 together, all right? So there's 2 lawsuits that Diddy got hit with. Drake is remixing the BBL Drizzy track. By the way, it's the first time Drake's been seen. I said that recently. Drake and Kendrick this whole month and a half that they've been going back and forth, neither have been seen. None of them. Obviously, Drake has been locked in court. I imagine Kendrick as well. But just think about like this, how this beef is played out. Neither one, you know, usually a lot of times when it comes to like beef, like niggas want to be seen outside, like, yo, I'm comfortable, yo, they want to also get the streets on their side. Both of these guys didn't really play that game. None of them played the clubs game. None of them played the, oh, I'm in the streets. None of them played the, yo, I'm really outside game. Nah, they both just dropped records, and the first time we're seeing either one of them is now with Drake kind of like popping up his head a little bit, like, you know, no Diddy. And we'll see. We'll analyze that in a little bit. Okay, other than that, let me see. Sean Kingston. Sean Kingston.
If you
and
ain't
his
been up
mom.
to see Grey Garden, you should go.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Whole place is
You know,
run by robots.
Sean Kingston and his mom have been taken into custody on fraud-related charges. The Broward Sheriff County office are claiming that Sean Kingston and his mom, through a series of lies, deceptions, and false promises, has lied to a bunch of either local retailers, other vendors in the area, and basically defraud them out of hundreds of thousands of dollars, and basically saying that, yo, in a nutshell, Sean Kingston is scamming. We don't know if that's true. We will analyze why they got raided. By the way, they locked up the mom first, and I think Sean Kingston reached out to me. I think he sent me a text. Like early this morning, something like that. And then I get news like about 3 hours ago that they locked him up now. So it appeared at first they didn't lock him up in the raid because he wasn't in Florida, but apparently they then transferred or communicated with the police officers in California to get him in custody. So don't know if he's still in custody, but of him and his mother, which is crazy. Listen. You know what I mean? I guess if you want to go all out with it, you gotta be down. Ma Dukes is really committed. You know what I mean? Ma Dukes is really committed if that's the case. I'm still gonna say that these individuals are innocent, and half of the reason why is they're Jamaican. We don't do them scamming shit. Actually, they do, but we don't do that scamming shit. We leave it for the Nigerians. All right? We'll get to that though. Let me see what else. My man Chef G. Okay, Chef G posed up, kicking it. You know, with Trump. Hey, listen, after you done got hit with a RICO and all that type of shit, attempted murder, whatever, and they let you out on a bond, $1 million in cash. Apparently had to put up a bunch of houses, all type of crazy, you know, stipulations for him to get bond. It took him like a year and a half or so. Hey, the only way for you to stay free, and word to my nigga Kodak, is go link up with a nigga who might be in office next, which is the next president or possible president, Donald J. Trump. All right. Anyway. Yeah, a bunch of other little things going on in hip-hop. Some I will touch on, some I will not. Anytime I say some shit like that, I feel like I gotta say no Diddy. Okay, where should we start, people? Where should we start? All right, okay. Somebody says, it's been 5 minutes. Sexy Red's album is out, chat. I don't know why y'all say that on YouTube like I could play it. If I play her album, it's gonna get taken down. Like, I want to play it. Like, I could try to play it. You want me to try to play it? I'll try to play it. But I'm pretty sure they're going to hit me with a complaint, like, immediately. Like, yo, stop playing her fucking album, you motherfucker. Here we go. I just want to hear the track with... Oh, by the way, so she dropped... I don't know if this is an album. I think it's an EP. It's an EP. Now, by the way... Eat my own words. It hasn't popped up on Spotify. Why hasn't it popped up on Spotify yet? Is it on y'all Spotify yet? I'm looking for it on Spotify. I haven't seen it yet. I'm pretty sure it'll pop up in a second. No, that's just to get it sexy shit. Okay. All right. Somebody said, is Biden gonna decriminalize weed? Man, we don't gotta worry about what the fuck Biden got going on, man. He probably won't be president much longer anyway. Welcome. All right. Where y'all want to start? Oh, also my man Antonio Brown filed for bankruptcy. Also, shout out to everybody who copped the Academy shot glasses. If you do got one, pour up real quick. I'm on my 4th shots. Cheers, motherfuckers. Hopefully I don't get too drunk. right. Okay, good. I want to start with the Diddy shit. Are we too much into the Diddy shit at this point? By the way, there's a couple other ancillary stories. Apparently, King Combs and his other brother Quincy are still previewing music. Okay. Diddy's baby mama, Misa Hilton, she who, by the way, sent out cryptic messages about like last week. She kind of like, made a statement as well. A bunch of people are making statements. We're seeing a bunch of unfollows. If you guys haven't seen, apparently this is the part of the Bible where they said Jesus wept. Okay, the end of an era, the end of a great relationship. You feel what I'm saying? Meek Millie, he unfollowed Diddy. Okay, again, no matter how much matching blouses, no matter how much matching crop tops and jumpsuits you buy a nigga, it does get to a breaking point where he could no longer fucking support you, okay? And if the allegations weren't true or the allegations weren't enough or the stories weren't enough, clearly seeing that video of the brutal beatdown that Diddy issued to Cassie, I could only imagine that Meek Mill probably looked at that and said, if this is how he treating his bitches, what the hell he gonna do to me, right? So I see the unfollowers taking place. We know in the era of social media, that's like a breakup. That is basically like, yo, it's over. It's over, right? It's over. That wasn't the only thing. Shit is going left when even Shorty Wap, she's gotten out of the goddamn harem. She was a proud member for a long time. She was a side chick, just not wanting to be called a side chick. She kept saying, she get gifts. She like fucking on a rich ass nigga. She had a billionaire nigga. After I started calling her a side chick, this is what I heard. This is rumors. I don't know if it's true. Apparently, she called him and told him, you better fuck that nigga academics up. Treat him like he's Tupac. You better make sure that nigga stop calling me a fucking side chick out here. Because if you want this Young Miami 305 pussy, you won't get it if that nigga's online calling me a goddamn side chick, okay? Now, Diddy did DM me, hollered at me, basically told me to back off his pimping, you know what I mean? Tell me to stop player hating, you know what I mean? Bad boys from the 90s to the 2000s, all that good shit. And, I'm just not a hater. So I said, okay, dog, you got it. But of course, a woman ain't never done. After a woman will say you to go get killed or get drunk, she still ain't done. She still wants you to make a public statement to clarify what the fuck her role is. So Diddy, knowing that he had a baby on the way, 5 other bitches, 3 baby mamas, couple other ones that possibly getting groomed, allegedly, he had to make a statement, and rather than say this is one of the bitches I fuck, he came up with a genius plan. That's my Shorty Wap. Listen to this shit.
I would like to give congratulations to the Queen, Carisha, Young Miami. Oh, this is a dream come true for me. Turn this up. Let me see if they flirting with each other.
Yeah.
Is there any flirtations that's going on? You trying to talk my Shorty Wap?
Yeah.
Nah, no, I see it.
Because I have been to one of your shows.
Yeah. Why would you have run that nose? Why you smiling like that? I would like to give congratulations to the Queen.
Imagine the freak-offs going down in this theater room. Probably got like a GoPro on Diddy's cock, just like showing live streaming right here like it's costing that nigga. This shit was probably going crazy up in this Diddy palace. Anyway, the end of an era, man. I want y'all to send y'all condolences and y'all prayers as these two.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Start off a season to you, twin. I'm not even gonna front, like, with the whole badass kid shit.
Yeah.
You know, like, just everything. Like, you know, I know you have a lot of inspirations, but, like, you just, the way you are and the way you represent yourself and the way you push yourself, I feel like you just have so much shit that equals net spend, bruh. Like, dead ass, bro. What are, like, most of the, like, I want to say things you like or, like, music you ever heard of, like, just coming up that completes net spend for real? Even down to the name, twin.
I mean, really, bro, like me, like, I don't, like, I definitely been fucking with, like, Future and, like, Uzi and, like, you know, like, let me think of some more people I was fucking with.
Future's fire, bro. For you to be listening to Future, bro.
I was mad young
like,
listening
what,
to Future.
Twin? Like, bro, I would.
Sony's entering a bit of a dry period.
So you're not that big of
Fallout.
look at this, bro. Like, what the hell? And it's like, thanks. And what'd you say? Like, are you sure you don't script it? I'm like, nah, I don't script it. I just, you know, read off. Everything's off the top of my head. But the funny thing is, though, Jazz, you don't see all the stuff I cut. Because the original, like, audio file was 25 minutes long. And I cut, like, 8 minutes out of it to get it down to 17.
Damn.
So, well, it's not all mistakes. Sometimes things don't work well. Like, I'll listen back to it and be like, I don't know. Like, this doesn't really seem like it's in the right spot. Maybe I should cut it. But yeah, it was fun. You know, getting back on the horse makes me kind of want to make more content and more content. So, you know, I've been thinking about maybe doing something tomorrow or Monday, depending on you know, how things go. But yeah, it was fun.
I think you're in.
What could be at the show? Plus, there's third party. There's always going to be third party. Indies to, you know, maybe AAA stuff, although Xbox kind of typically shies away from some of that stuff in recent years. But yeah, there's a lot. I don't know. But Gears Collection, I've been thinking for a while is real. And I've been thinking this is the year we see Gears 6. And that the Gears Collection would also be like, the way in my mind how I envision the announcement is essentially the last game announcement before they switch to the Call of Duty deep dive, right? So in the same position of Clockwork Revolution, and it starts with the Gears Collection, and it has a date, like coming in August, or maybe like beta in July or something, where it's like real soon, but it's like releasing in August, and then, but it's like, but wait, there's more, and it's a really, really short tease of Gears 6 without a date, but now you know the Gears Collection's real, and here's Gears 6, and then Phil comes on stage to just go over the whole show again like he always does, and then it's boom, into Call of Duty. That's how I think the show ends. Because remember, I said, so like to me, I have show opener, Perfect Dark. You kind of follow in last year's footsteps. You just come out swinging for the fences with Fable. Right? A game that people have been wanting to see for a long time. And you just start off the whole show with it. You start the footing on, you know, put your good foot forward, essentially. So boom, Perfect Dark. Start that off first. Get people excited. Like, oh, okay, what's Crystal Dynamics Initiative cooking on? And then last, it's a new game, and it's Gears. And, you know, judging from the praise that everybody has, at least for how Hellblade 2 looks, and Digital Foundry calling it basically like the high point of like real-time graphics. Could you imagine what the Coalition's gonna cook with Gear 6? Like, they're the Unreal experts outside of Epic.
Yeah, I mean, when has Epic ever made a photorealistic game?
True.
I think the Coalition's even beyond Epic at this point. But it's intriguing because Shinobi, I believe, Yeah, Shinobi. I believe Shinobi has put out there that Gears 6 might even look better than Hellblade. I'm sure he put that out there on Reset Era or something.
Maybe
Unless
he
I'm
did.
going crazy and maybe I'm if I'm misattributing something to Shinobi.
I mean, that would be nuts because Hellblade 2 is words really can't even describe how amazing Hellblade 2 looks. And I know it's not your type of game, and we'll talk about Hellblade 2, but even you, when you were playing it to me, you were like, this game looks insane.
Yeah,
and it does.
It's great.
So to imagine...
And it's,
Go ahead, keep on going.
well, I was just gonna say, like, I've been to Iceland fairly recently, and it's kind of adds to the mystique about the game. It's like, oh my god, I've literally been, and it actually does look like it. So yeah, it's really impressive stuff.
Yeah. But anyways, so I do think the Gears collection is real. I do think we will see it this year. I even think it'll release this year. And I wouldn't be so
long-winded way to answer this.
Yeah. And I also do think it'll launch on PlayStation.
This is why the shows end up 4 hours long.
I know. I'm sorry, sue me. But I also do think it'll end up on PlayStation as well. But
that's the big question, isn't it? If they do announce Gears collection, will it end up on PlayStation? And like I wrote in my predictions article, you will probably see some evidence about Microsoft's evolving thought process with regards to the multi-platform situation. I've said on Twitter, and people got mad at me for saying that there's no red line. I said that I don't think Microsoft has a red line here, and that any game, even Halo and Forza and Gears, could go to PlayStation. If the Gears collection is slated for PlayStation, then you know there's no red line. So that was kind of like why I put that in my prediction.
I do think there's a difference between Gears Collection and Gears 6, but I'm sure most people wouldn't really clock the difference, or people will just say, well, Gears is there, so, you know, it may not be the new Gears, but it is Gears Collection. Like, I do think there's a fundamental difference between
a
collection of older games and, you know, a new release, but...
Yeah, sure, but I think, like, at best, you can hope for time. I think if you put the Gears collection there, there's going to be a point where Gears 6 is well.
Potentially.
Gears 4 is if Gears 4 and 5 are not in the collection.
Well, you would figure, I mean, yeah, what would you have to do if Gears collection is just 1, 2, and 3? I mean, you wouldn't need Gears Judgment in there, but maybe they put it in there anyways. And
not really that bad.
No, I mean, it's not that bad. It's just nowhere near on the level of the first 3 Gears games. So if you do Gears 1, 2, and 3, and you have a multiplayer that consists of like all the maps from all the games, and it has like a live service element and stuff, okay.
Well, I'm going to tangent here. I'm going to tangent here slightly because in the past, we've kind of, or at least I've kind of suggested that the way Sony does timed exclusivity deals for Final Fantasy, for example. They say like, oh yeah, it's timed exclusive for this amount of time, and then it ends up not being timed exclusive for that amount of time. It's actually timed exclusive for a much longer amount of time, and it kind of like it casts an obfuscation over Xbox because it's like you never know when a game will ever come to Xbox, right? Could put in the Gears collection on PlayStation, but not Gears 6. Potentially, you know, sell systems. Because if people are like, oh, actually, I do remember Gears, and actually, I really do love Gears.
I don't know.
And then it's like, when Gears 6 rolls around, it's like, well, actually, maybe
I don't
you know, I do want to check out Gears 6. On sale or something. Is there some kind of play there, or is that?
I mean, I also do think it's weird, like put the collection on PlayStation and then just dump the 6. What about 4 and 5? That'd be like Final Fantasy, Square Enix being like, alright Xbox fans, guess what? You get the 3rd game of the Final Fantasy trilogy, you get Final Fantasy Reunion, but you don't get Remake and
you don't get the first.
So you don't get any of the other prior stuff. Sure, and you can like look it up and whatever, but it's like, would they really port 4 and 5 to lead up to 6? Because you have to for anybody that really is interested in 6, or maybe not. I don't know. There's things you have to think about. Well, would you want to if they show it, if it's coming out. We got Night. Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah, because like Gears is it's like one of the games that's like so. You consider what is Xbox. You know, you consider Gears. You consider Forza. Definitely Halo. There are games that when you see scream, this is Xbox. Something like Doom, you know, whatever. We'll talk about that when we get there. But Doom doesn't fit that category.
No,
and
every Doom game PlayStation already.
Yeah, so but something like Gears, something that is core to the success of the 360.
Locks really strong.
And you know what they've tried to do with the Xbox One, like that is a core franchise. And you'd put it over on another platform, not only potentially like PlayStation, but maybe Switch 2. I mean, kind of reap what you sow at that point.
True that, but they'll make a lot of money for it.
Yeah.
Maybe people just don't care about exclusive. I mean, I did put a poll on Twitter. Do you care if games go exclusive? And only 25%, 28% roughly, people said they actually thought it was a bad thing.
Well, I will say the more games do go, the less people will care about it. Because they'll just... It's kind of like what happened with PC for Xbox. When Quantum Break was announced, if you remember, people lost their minds.
Everyone freaked out.
And it was like, what the hell? Because it was new. And then eventually people just were like, oh, well. You know, so right now the news is like, you know, this is like, what, really? No, that can't happen. And then once it becomes commonplace, you just kind of, you accept it for what it is. And either you just move on and play like you've always played, or you essentially are like, you know what? Platform's not for me no more. I'm going to go to PC. Or you know what? I'm going to go to PlayStation. You know, everybody needs to make up their own minds regarding how they want to spend their money and where they want to spend their money and how they want to enjoy their free time and their hobby. And that's up to each individual person to decide. And if, you know, you feel that it's like, you know what, I've had my fun here, but I don't really see path forward or whatever, you know, okay. You know, you need to make the choice that's best for you. But anyways,
do that.
We got Nightwolf with the 5. He says, glad to catch an Xbox 2 Live finally. Been a while. Love the show, guys. Hope you are as excited as me to hear more news for the future of Xbox in June. Yeah, I am
super excited, man.
I think
I actually. Sorry, I was just gonna say I genuinely believe, but in terms of raw quality, Xbox is gonna step up a gear this year, and it's kind of a shame because it's gonna be like overshadowed by all the questions about, oh well, when's this coming to PlayStation? When's this coming to PlayStation?
Well, I mean, they're the ones who did it themselves. So
yeah, they did it themselves, and like, you know, it's what I want to remind everyone. You know, don't shoot the messenger. This is like Xbox's choice. Specifically, I reckon, you know, Satya Nadella has made no secret about the fact that he wants Xbox's software to be everywhere.
Doing cartwheels too.
He has no love for that world. Dramatically.
Is it even really that, or is Amy Hood just being like, listen, these are the margins we need to hit, and we need to hit these, and your studios need to bring in this much, and it's like, well, we can't really do that. It was like, we'll find a way to do it. It's like, well, gotta sell the software in more places, I suppose. What places are there? Nintendo and PlayStation. I don't think it's necessarily like Satya's like, you know, I got no love for exclusives. It's strictly just the money thing. Like, I want margins. Give me 20% margins. Oh, you can't hit that? Well, you better hit this. You know.
He literally
I know,
said,
but he
I've
also
got no love for exclusives.
But then
and that is his philosophy.
It is. But you're forgetting
when he took over from Steve Ballmer.
But you're forgetting the end of what he said, though. He did say, "I have no love for exclusives, but we do them because the market leader does them."
Well, why are they? Yeah, well, they've changed tack now, haven't they?
Well,
I don't know. I think it's short-sighted. We've all said our piece on this. I think it's a bad idea. I think it's short-sighted. I've put out multiple articles about why I think this is a bad idea for the long term of Xbox and the hardware ecosystem that I'm personally invested in. I'm not confident that this is a good decision, but I've gotten to the point where it's like, I know they're not going to change course. There's nothing that anyone can say at this point that will make them change course. And so we just have to decide, do we live with it now or do we move on? Because there's way more important things to care about than this. And I'm stressed about it. Whatever happens, I'll go down with shit.
Yeah, like, we gotta decide if Stellar Blade offering those new outfits means that we can play Stellar Blade now and give up the chase and did you see that stuff?
Oh, the Stellar Blade stuff with the uncensored outfits.
Well, no, I mean like they added a whole bunch of new outfits in the new update that are like kind of also very revealing. So like some people that were like, boycott, like how dare you? They're like, well, maybe this is okay now, and this is like a we're sorry update, adding new outfits or whatever.
Or maybe they plan to do that anyway. They were the game. One of the selling points of the game is the character being sexy. So you know they were going to put more outfits in the game. I don't think it's necessarily them capitulating. I think it's a fact of like, oh, people want these outfits. Let's
now
make
I can
more.
play it. Anyways,
I mean, I do like the outfits though. They're very well made from an artistic perspective.
Yeah, I'm sure you're judging it from an artistic perspective.
What can I say? I'm an appreciator of fine art, bro.
Say that to your girlfriend who's right over there. Sith Lord, member for 16 months. Oh my god, Xbox 2 on a Saturday. How are we doing today, gentlemen? Hope for some good gaming news today. Love you both. Thanks for the entertainment. Thank you for being here, Sith Lord. And we are doing...
Sith Lord is awesome.
Pretty good. We're doing good. I see, I did get a DM today from somebody be like, are you and Jez going to be watching King and Queen of the Ring? And I was like, nah.
Was that I saw a clip from it. I saw Sami Zayn doing a triple jump suplex on two dudes.
I did see someone said to me that Gunther is the King of the Ring. He won. So.
Oh, is this King of the Ring? Oh yeah. King of the Ring. Oh, that makes sense. I thought they'd stopped doing King of the Ring.
I think they did, but they brought it back.
I still haven't finished watching WrestleMania.
Jeez, what are you waiting for?
Dude, it's too long, man. I can't fit that into my life right now. I'm gonna watch it on the plane when I'm flying to LA.
King Kaios with the 10. With Xbox third-party push, all but assured, what is Xbox willing to give up besides their games to be on Sony's store? And how much can Sony extract before Microsoft's read?
One thing that I do believe is that if Microsoft does find that the monthly active users of Xbox goes down as a result of this push, if they do find that, I do think they'll change course. But I think one of the things they're going to be looking for this year, because they're going to have Call of Duty marketing, right?
Well, what does that even entail, though?
Putting Xbox branding on all the marketing.
Yeah, but you see, here's the thing. So when I was on the podcast with the guys earlier today, with Daverborn and Kay Asante and Wandering Dutch and OBM, who some of them were being chat now, nobody could really agree on what Xbox marketing even means for Call of Duty. Does it mean that when you see TV ads for it, it's only going to say Xbox and Game Pass? Does that mean there's not going to have any PlayStation logos? Like, because nobody can decide. Some people think it's going to have all the logos. Because when Minecraft has a trailer, guess what? All the logos are on the Minecraft trailer, right? So, like, nobody's even really sure of what like Call of Duty marketing even looks like. Sure, we've seen what it looks like on PlayStation and even on Xbox in the past, but nobody even really knows what it looks like now. Like, is there going to be an exclusive, hey, here's the game bundled with the Xbox console for the holidays, which is always something pretty big. there's discussion to be had about how deep do they go into the marketing. Will it be strictly Xbox related, or are they gonna be like, you know what, we want to sell this everywhere, so it's also on PlayStation, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just speaking theoretically.
Okay.
I have no idea what they're doing with their marketing, but just imagine that they do like old school Xbox 360 marketing for Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And I do know they've got a marketing deal with a major upcoming third-party game for this year.
Star Wars Outlaws?
Well, actually,
well, I mean, because Star Wars Outlaws was Xbox until last year. I don't know if it has the Xbox marketing. Maybe it does.
It does.
Okay.
So the Star Wars Outlaws and another one, which I think I don't know if I'm.
Has it even been announced
yet?
Oh, you don't even.
Yeah.
We got.
This is a game that's been announced. So,
there's Assassin's Creed Shadows.
they've got that as well.
So what? So now it's even another one past Assassin's Creed Shadows?
Yeah, so there's another one. But they've got a lot of AAA co-marketing deals.
What? With Warhammer? What other AAA games are already announced for the fall? I don't even think.
I don't know. But it kind of says to me, like, maybe they're just gonna try and do a lot of heavy lifting with their costs. And if they're gonna go like old school, like it was in 360, where it was like Call of Duty marketing deals, I have no idea how they're gonna do it. Maybe Microsoft will be all kumbaya about it. Maybe they need to be kumbaya about it because of the regulators.
Maybe
or
they do.
whatever.
Yeah. Maybe they do.
But
I know what game it is. It's it's Atlas. It's that It's the
no.
Because anytime that game has been advertised, it's literally just the Xbox logo. So that's a fourth one, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
So still not that one.
Yeah, they're still not that
so they would put the Xbox logo and on all those games, and not the PlayStation logo. But for Call of Duty, they would put all the logos and not their own logo. But then again, who's running the marketing for this year's Call of Duty? Is it Activision? Does Xbox have anything to say? You know?
They tend to use an agency. They always have.
I suppose what we're mentioning.
It's hilarious. I've already started seeing marketing for Black Ops.
Well, yeah. So the marketing for Black Ops has started, which is usually they wait. Yeah. So it's already, we know the game. I mean, it's kind of already an open secret. Call of Duty Black Ops 6. No subtitle, no Black Ops Cold War, just Call of Duty Black Ops 6. They started the marketing for it with Mount Rushmore. There was that Wall Street Journal article that came out the week you were gone last week about how it's going to be day one in Game Pass, for sure. Because there was speculation about like debates going on in there and blah 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 blah. So yeah, so there's all that. Oh, and also we did get the, I wouldn't say confirmation, but people are talking about it as pretty much confirmed. It's still going to be on last generation. So
Black Ops, yeah.
Yes. And that begs the question.
People being upset about that as well. Everyone's constantly upset.
That brings up the question: is that a smart move?
Yes.
The Interceptor.
There's millions and millions of players on those systems.
I know, but if you want to, if you want to get people to upgrade to,
what about the serum?
You don't want people to upgrade.
You don't want people to upgrade. Okay.
No, you don't. Why would you want people to upgrade?
Well, why wouldn't you want people to upgrade?
The margins are zero, bro. No, make more money if they stay where they are.
With any luck,
because the chips are so damn expensive. Like the whole problem with this gen is that the chips were supposed to come down in value. Nvidia just hit $2.5 trillion market cap, bro.
They're gonna be bigger than Microsoft one day.
They are, because of artificial intelligence. And the chips were supposed to come down in price, and they haven't been. So it's better margins if people stay where they are. Rather than
so it's better for
consoles.
Xbox and PlayStation for those people on last generation to continue to stay in last gen.
Yeah, for right now, yeah, it is. Until the chip prices. Right now, it's so expensive to manufacture extra stock. You might as well get better margins like the previous generation. That's why PCs rose to prominence so much as well. You get better margins, targeting people where they are, rather than manufacturing these expensive consoles. artificial intelligence, the crypto, and just the sheer demand for teraflops has fucked up the console industry. We can make a cheaper device using ARM processing. Oh my god.
I mean,
these podcasts have no structure, Rad. You're supposed to structure.
I mean, is it a bad thing it's got no structure?
Well,
I mean, I have topics. I mean, I have topics that I want to address. And it's just like, well, we're talking about Call of Duty, so why not talk about this thing right now?
The Interceptor
right?
worked. It was rough,
so,
but
you
it
think
worked
it's a good thing that they're
amazing.
still on last gen?
And
No,
what about the serum?
I would.
Did you find the
I
serum?
personally don't.
Okay,
I
you
would-
personally don't, but the business-wise, it's like, yeah.
Business-wise,
We had a
business-wise, yeah.
deal. I
Business-wise,
help you get into
the margins
Institute.
are better
You
for
find the
them
cure that I
if
was
it's all
working
cross-gen.
on. It
So
should
there's Beer
still
Baron in
be
chat,
in
so
my
by your
old
logic, Jez,
lab
would you want
in
GTA
the
6 and last gen
bioscience
console too?
division.
I
With any
personally
luck,
don't,
They haven't found
but
it yet.
the margins
Volker
are better,
probably still has the place
mathematically,
sealed up
analytically
while he
speaking,
goes
if
through
the
my
game is on
research.
everything, you know? Sony will, Take-Two will make less money because they haven't put GTA on a past-gen system. A lot of people will just be like, well, I'll keep playing Fortnite then, or else even still, I'll keep playing Grand Theft Auto Online, GTA 5 Online or whatever. A lot of people will upgrade for GTA 6, and I think the console manufacturers are like, you know, interested to see what that looks like. And if more and more people do move to next gen, then the margins will improve. But it's just this weird sort of halfway problem right now, where the demand for graphics processing has completely messed up the entire business model, the entire business proposition. It will get better over time, you know, and you know that's why, you know, Sleepy Josephine Biden, or whatever his name is these days, he's done the CHIPS Act, right, which is supposed to increase the supply of high-end microchips with like these huge subsidies and these huge tax breaks. But it's going to take a while to spin up those fabricators, right? Once all these, you know, measures come to pass, hopefully then things will pan out. But we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, they also, at least according to Tom Henderson, basically says that the new COD is going to be on the Switch 2. And if, like, you have to make a Call of Duty that's on the Switch 2, it's like, well, we might as well just keep on making it for last gen anyways, I suppose.
Exactly.
You know? I don't know. It's also, but it's like, Grand Theft Auto is one of those games where it's like people will buy a console for this. Especially because it's not going to be on PC, so the only way to play this is to upgrade. And people are going to upgrade. Right? They're absolutely going to. And the only other game that really fits that mold is Call of Duty. Like, people will upgrade for Call of Duty if you basically say, no. Well, you know what else they probably upgrade for too? Madden and 2K. You know, the games that are played heavily every single year, but I believe those are still also cross-generation, so, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It's a weird market right now. Weird market.
Yeah.
It'll go back to normal.
Yeah. We have Walkerman with the 10. Hey, gents. I'm over this outrage with Multiplat. It seems to have tailed off. I look at the years ahead, and if we're getting 6 to 10 good solid games per year and 1 to 2 Multiplats, I'd be happy. I mean, everyone's gonna have their own feelings about that, right? Some people aren't gonna care. Some people are gonna be really upset. Some people will just be mildly annoyed. You know. But
Yeah, I mean, everyone's got a different feeling about it. Some people are just like annoyed by the lack of fight that Xbox is showcasing here, and it's kind of irritating because Sony's entering a bit of a dry period right now. So you think this would be an opportunity for Microsoft to be like, look, we've got Avowed, look, we've got this, look, we've got that, and maybe even like, you know, look, Doom's exclusive. They don't have anything to play on PlayStation. I don't know what the roadmap looks like for
play
PlayStation.
Sea of Thieves on PlayStation.
Yeah, that Microsoft is helping PlayStation to have a better year by giving them games. So like you'd think this, you know, is a good opportunity for Microsoft to try and push the console bit and narrow the gap a little bit, but because of the margins just ain't there, it's much cheaper rather than manufacturing your own hardware and selling it for potentially 0 or less margin. So just put the game where people are, you know. But that's why I think like they could pull back on that strategy if A, it becomes cheaper to make the consoles, and B, they do find that putting the games on PlayStation actually harms their monthly active users on the Xbox ecosystem. So, yeah, it remains to be seen.
We have Web Dave with the 199. Says Rand, fire. Any Final Fantasy news at Xbox? Thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up, people, if you're enjoying the show. Any Final Fantasy news? Well, I mean, you were gone, but we did see that basically Square Enix said that the Final Fantasy 16 and 7 Rebirth and Foam Stars all missed their expectations. Shocker. There was an interesting thread about how like the budgets and decisions of those games were basically decided like back in like 2016, 2017, before Fortnite and all that sort of stuff. I thought it was pretty enlightening. I would not be surprised if we do see a Final Fantasy there. If I had to pick one, it'd probably be Final Fantasy 16. If one was to show up, I think it would be that one.
Yeah. I want the picture image.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if that's not like a showcase worthy sort of thing.
What are you talking about? I would call it the pixel image, right?
No,
that's the biggest. That's the biggest.
Sure. Yeah, for you. Take Master Jitsu to the 199. Phil promised exclusives and backtrack. Here is 100. Yeah, people are angry.
There is going to be exclusives. Like, I don't think, even though like Doom is probably going to PlayStation 5 day and date. Obviously, we reported that, but it's not true until it's official, right? Obviously, Doom is most likely to go into PlayStation day and date, but Avowed isn't. Avowed's still going to be exclusive, presumably. I think that's going to be day and date. And there'll be other games that are day and date, you know, like Hellblade, for example. And also Shattered Space DLC for Starfield, that's going to be Xbox exclusive. So there are kind of a bunch of de facto exclusives, but I think what people want to see is Microsoft actually define what their strategy looks like, and which games will and which games won't go exclusive, blah, 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 blah. Will Starfield ever come to PlayStation? Or maybe Todd Howard's just like, rather than spend resources porting Starfield, we should probably spend the resources making a new Fallout and leave Starfield to be exclusive to Xbox. We don't know, and I think like having that clarity, a lot of people want that clarity, right? But I don't know. And yeah, we've got Redfall as exclusive, bro. What more do you need?
Yeah, Redfall, huh?
Maybe we'll get Scalebound as exclusive.
Yeah. Equinox says, hello guys, are you going to make predictions? Potentially. We'll see. Hitch, why hasn't Halo Wars 2 come to Steam? Is 343 forgotten? Was that even supposed to be a thing?
I saw a build of Halo Wars 2 with Steam stuff on it a long time ago. And for some reason they just never ported it. They cancelled it and they never bothered with it. I think it's a damn shame because Halo Wars is a great game, and they just sort of walked away from it too early. I think they just didn't have a pipeline for.
You hear about that farm run by ghouls?
Or not enough budget or something like that, and I don't know. One thing that I really wanted to see Microsoft do was acquire Relic. I don't know if you saw this way around, but Relic worked with a bank they've employed a bank to handle going independent from Sega. And they've won investment to go fully independent. But I just can't help but think like Relic would be the ideal acquisition for Microsoft to support Age of Empires. Maybe they could do a port for Halo Wars 2 to go to Steam. What about StarCraft? You know, there's a huge demand for StarCraft out there that isn't being fulfilled right now. Hell, get them working on Heroes of the Storm or something. They're experts in this stuff. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with Halo Wars, man. I'd love to see Halo Wars
Right.
move to Steam.
Wagerman, member for 80 months, says, what if 80 months? Jesus. What if Microsoft and Valve partner? They get Steam on the next Xbox. The deal is like Xbox, they get 90% and 100% of Microsoft published games, and third party goes to Steam.
It would be an intriguing premise if Microsoft was to partner up with Valve, wouldn't it, Ray?
Yeah, well, we'll see about that. Jeff Grubb thought that was more pie in the sky type thing when we talked to him on the podcast.
Yeah.
More like long term, you know, rather than like something that's gonna happen in a couple of years.
Maybe it's maybe.
Yeah. Daswell Gordon with 5. Here's my prediction: Persona 6 reveal at the showcase. Fun fact: its color theme is green. I did see that. And Xbox and Sega are pretty cozy, especially with their Atlas marketing lately. I guess that's certainly possible. But I don't think they want to reveal. They still have their brand new game that's coming out in November, which probably will be at the Xbox showcase, if I had to guess. So I don't think we'll see a Persona 6 reveal for that game at this year, before their new game comes out. They want to get people excited about their new game. Chris R. 5. In your opinion, are we overacting the rumors? Companies talk a lot about ideas that don't end up happening. I mean, it depends on your reactions, I suppose. I don't know. Are people flipping cars in the streets? You know? I don't know. I guess it depends on the overreaction. Some people obviously take it too far, I think, versus video games back in the day. But, you know, who am I to say what's overreaction or underreaction?
You should know. People have been complaining a bit about the
we got Scarecrow 121 with 50.
Can we trade a few things?
Didgeridoos. Thank you. It says also longer play is to make earlier games available and get people interested, then say sorry, newer games are on Xbox and PC to bring more people across. FOMO is a valid and well-used tactic. FOMO is a valid and well-used tactic, and Jess Gordon falls for FOMO all day, every day. That is a true thing.
It is true.
Absolutely.
I was playing Fallout 76 is the worst for FOMO because like they update the store constantly. It's like, oh wow, I need to buy that before it's not in the store anymore.
Dude,
I need to buy that.
What are you gonna do about the Fallout power armor in Fortnite? Are you gonna get it? Are you gonna spend?
There's a limit to my love of Fallout, and the limit stops at playing Fortnite. Apparently. I don't want to play Fortnite, man. Although the season looks cool. Like it's all like Mad Max, post-apocalyptic theme. It lines up pretty well with Furiosa and also. But I'm not gonna play Fortnite, man. I'm not that.
So you're not that big. You won't even play Fortnite to get this.
No.
Call yourself a Fallout.
I've got Fallout.
Talk about yeah, because there's been a lot of talk about this. The reviews are out, the numbers we've seen, there's really the discourse surrounding this game, while not as large as Starfield, definitely tends to be more towards the negative aspect of the game, right? The negative side of it. But I want to talk briefly about what I thought of the game. And oh, you know what? Why don't you give us your thoughts? Because you played a little bit of it. What are your initial takeaways of Hellblade 2?
Yeah, these are very, very initial takeaways because I've only done like the first couple of fights or whatever, and so I haven't played it a huge amount because I've just been, so busy. I've been in Poland and then I've been trying to hit embargo with the alters and all that kind of stuff. But my initial, because obviously everyone talks about the graphics and the visuals, right? So like my plan was, I'm gonna play this with my girlfriend because she's not a huge gamer. She plays a bit of Candy Crush and stuff like that. She has played Limbo and Inside. Completed them. She likes the side-scrolling puzzle games. So I thought, like, if she likes Limbo and Inside, side-scrolling sort of linear-ish puzzle games, maybe she'll like Hellblade, right? And she was like, it was fun watching her reactions to how the graphics are, because she was mind blown, and I too was mind blown because it looks absolutely unlike anything I've ever seen in terms of just raw quality.
Thanks for your
Like,
fighting them off.
oftentimes when in games
I was glad to help out.
Oftentimes you'll see the priorities fall on where the developers expect
we
your eye to be
appreciate
drawn.
that.
So like character models are usually a lot higher quality than the surrounding environment, or like the random objects in the game or stuff like that. But Hellblade is just every single object, every single item has this, like, it's just so much love poured into it. Like, I was joking on Twitter that I was, you know, obsessing over the rocks and the cliffs and the crags and the volcanic landscape, and the way the water and the rain interacts with it, and then the lighting interacts with that on top of the sound design. It is a work of art. It is a stunning technical achievement that is worth experiencing in its own right, purely on that basis. But at the same time, I was immediately disheartened when I saw those damn perspective puzzles again. Can't they come up with anything new? You know, the puzzles are terrible. I don't like those. I hate it, man. It really trips up the gameplay. It really detracts from the cinematic atmosphere. To have this arbitrary road bump where it's just like, okay, now hold the trigger and adjust the camera until something happens. I hate that, man. I mean, I just hate it. And yeah, it's not a big deal, but it's so jarring, and it takes you out of the everything that the game is trying to be. And then, like, I get to the combat supreme. Like, it's simple, but it's so visceral, man. Like, leaving slash marks on the bodies and, you know, tearing the cloths and stuff like that, the clothes. It's amazing, you know. But yeah, I can't help but feel this disappointment that, you know, it's not what I want it to be. And it feels selfish because it's kind of like, well, this is the game the developers wanted to make. Right. This is their art. And I'm okay with that. You know, I'm like, it's not for me. And that's fine. And I appreciate the game for what it is. But I can't help, I just keep sitting there thinking, this could have been a full-bore action game. You know, I would have loved to have seen this have more combat or more gameplay systems, you know, reach a little deeper with maps and stuff like that. What would the game look like with these visuals with more gameplay? So there's a selfish aspect to that, and I completely acknowledge that. But at the same time, it's like I can't help but just be completely awestruck by the visuals. And it kind of makes me excited for what Gears looks like, because Gears is supposedly going to look like this while also being more of a traditional,
more of a gaming
video
game.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, like,
yeah.
Digital Foundry praised the game. You know, they talked about it like, you know, essentially the pinnacle of like real-time graphics. And that is like something you'll notice when you fire it up. You'll be like, holy, what? Like, seriously, I remember sitting there. I was like that looks almost real. You know, like you're right there in the uncanny valley where everything looks so good. But it's not just the characters or the incredible facial animations they have on like Senua. It's like to the environments. Like those rocks look real. It's like, you know, Iceland,
rocks,
like
man.
it's like looks incredible. You see, but the thing is,
I've been to Iceland. I've been to Iceland recently.
The thing is,
it looks like that.
This is what I expected, and this is sort of what I wanted. Maybe, I don't know. When people talked about like, all right, let's take the first game, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, which had an incredible story.
Back to the track.
And had serviceable combat.
It's neck and neck.
Puzzles. The puzzles aren't good.
Atomic Dreams is still hanging in there.
But people were awed by the story they were telling, right? The emotions that they could get out of the actors, namely Senua. And they were a small company, like 20 people made this game. So I think sometimes people overlook the flaws in indie games because it's like, oh, okay, you know, look at you patting them on the back a little bit, like, look what you did. And it's true, like Hellblade 1 tells a really compelling story, and we've never seen a game that delves so much into like mental health and psychosis, right? That you're willing to overlook some of the flaws of like, hey, the game is walk somewhere while you have voices in your head, you'll solve a puzzle, you'll do some fighting, walk, fight, rinse, repeat for the 8 hours runtime. And people were like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing, I was so affected, blah, 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 blah. And then they get purchased by Microsoft. And everybody thinks, well, where could we go with Hellblade? And in fact, a lot of people I don't even think were, where it's like, all right, you know, I need a Hellblade 2, because you finish Hellblade 1, and sure, there is the dangling thread of like, there are more stories, but you don't feel like you have to have another story, right? It could just be Senua overcoming her grief and her own demons, and that could be the story you tell. You don't need to tell another story in the universe, right? But they decided to, and then people were like, oh, well, you know, instead of this 8-hour walking sim, like, now people are imagining a 30-hour God of War Light. Well, okay, now we got an open world. Now Senua's gonna earn XP. Now Senua's gonna learn more combat moves. Senua's gonna buy more outfits. You know, basically turning it more into like a game, you know, of like the action RPG variety. Like, oh man, I can't wait to dress up Senua in different outfits that have different stat modifiers. That, you know, so I go search around Iceland to open up chests. Oh, and I get this XP, and now Senua, I unlock this like double-fisted slash, right, or whatever you would say. Oh, and then there's side quests. Yeah, like he's like spin around and double-fisted slash, right? Oh, and there's some side quests you do. You pick up. There's some fetch quests. It's perfect. That's what people want, right? But what Ninja Theory apparently wanted to do was to go further into the realm of cinema, right? To bridge the gap between gaming and movies even more than Kojima does. And they wanted to make like an immersive cinematic game. And I think that became pretty apparent in 2021 when they showed off that trailer where she was at the Game Awards and she was hunting that troll. And it was like, this is the first look at gameplay, and it was very much like she's just walking down the cave, and nothing's happening, and nothing's happening. You can hear the voices, oh, there's the troll, now you're running, and then you throw a spear. Then people were like, was that gameplay? And it ended up being true, because you actually go through that segment, and it actually looks better here in the game than it actually did then, right? It's one of the few games that actually looks better after its initial reveal than, you know, how like people still talk about the Watch Dogs and the Vision stuff where the games were like supposed to look like and play like this, and then they clearly didn't. But this is the one game where it's like, no, it actually exceeded that initial target. I think it was pretty apparent in 2021 that they were going for this, we want to make an immersive cinematic game, and they nailed it. Like, whatever they set out to achieve, they absolutely set the bar, the standard going forward for immersive cinematic action games. Like, I'm still stunned. Like, I have my gameplay up here of the game, and I'm watching it as we're talking, and I'm stunned just looking at it, and obviously it looks better on my end, but like the transitions between cutscenes and the gameplay, and the character facial animations, and all that sort of stuff, and it's like, God, you can't even really tell. Like, it's so smooth that there's no button prompts in the game and none of that stuff, right? So, I don't know. I always talk about, for me, when I watch a movie or when I play a game or when I read a book or whatever, to me it's always about the experience. How did I feel when I was playing this? What emotions did it drag up out of me? Did it make me teary-eyed? Was I cheering? Well, not necessarily cheering, but like, was I excited? Did that character death make me cry or what have you in the movies or the books or whatever? Like, if you can get those emotions out of you, you've done well. Like, and this game, especially with this combat, I don't know, there was parts where I was like edge of my seat, gripping the controllers tight, and loving essentially what was going on, despite the fact that I knew that it was a lot of smoke and mirrors, because the combat is very much like, it's not too much change from the first game in the sense that she has very similar attacks. It's that when you kill an enemy, it's all scripted animation, right? But it's so visceral, it's so brutal. Like, each one of the kill animations where, like, you may parry somebody and then stab them through the neck or stab them through the side. Like, there's so many different ways you can dispatch, like, or I should say there's so many different ways the game animations will let you dispatch. But, like, I was just so enthralled by what I was watching, that I didn't really care that the game took control away from me. Because I knew what Ninja Theory wanted to do, and I wasn't sitting there thinking to myself, well, I'm not pressing the B button and the X here, and they took this away. Like, I was with Ninja Theory for the ride. And
you have to take it for what it is. You have to appreciate it for what it is. Like, I don't play sports games because I don't like sports games. Which is why, like, when it was coming time to review this, I was like, well, I'm not going to review it because it's not for me, and I want the review to be for people who are interested in this kind of game. So I had one of my colleagues, Zachary, who likes these kind of games, gave me the review, and 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 from
yeah.
So, but like, if I had reviewed like a FIFA, I'd have been like, man, why doesn't this game have more chainsaws in it? It's not the game for me, and I think it's fine. Not every game has to be for every person. But I think, like, because there's this sort of, there was this expectation attached to Ninja Theory here, where it was like, okay, they were a small indie studio, and potentially Hellblade 1 was a vision of a much bigger game, more combat and more God of War, like, trappings, potentially. I think it's hard for it to escape that, because it's like, it sort of sits in this universe, and unfairly so. I'm not saying it's right, but I think it sits in this universe where God of War exists, Assassin's Creed Valhalla exists, and it's like, well, these games with a lot of hands-on, gameplay, or a lot of variety in them, in different kinds of ways, whereas Hellblade is very much gone in the other direction of being like, we want to make the most cinematic game in history, and when you take it for what it is, they completely nailed that vision. I suppose, like, the question is there big enough demand from a business perspective for a game like this?
Well, yeah, I mean,
I see a lot of people dragging up the Steam stats right now, and even like looking away from Hellblade. Remedy said Alan Wake 2 hasn't recouped its investment yet after however many months. Part of that is because it's on Epic Games Store, not on Steam. So yeah, fine.
I would say a lot of that has
90% probably. But like, even still, like, if there was like enough demand for this kind of game, people would, potentially, and Alan Wake 2 has potentially more gameplay, quote, in it than Hellblade 2, even though they're sort of going for a similar thing, right, where it's like the cinematic aspect of it is the set piece, the showpiece, right?
Right.
So, I do wonder about the economics, and you know, someone in chat says like, because I said I feel entitled. I feel entitled saying like I wanted Hellblade to have more gameplay in it, you know, and then someone in chat said you shouldn't feel entitled because at the end of the day developers have to meet an audience, right?
Sure.
And that's a good point. You know, at the end of the day, like, you know, I could make a game right now in Unity. It would be terrible. And nobody would play it because it wouldn't be what the audience wants, right? It's that intersection between entertainment, technology, and art. And Hellblade sits very, if that's a triangle, you know, sometimes like in some games where you have like a stat modifier and it's a triangle, and like you imagine that you've got like your technology, your entertainment, your art. Hellblade very much sits in the art quadrant of that triangle. You have a quadrant in a triangle. What's the triangle version of a quadrant? I don't know. You get the point. I am a mathematician. It sits close to the art portion of that, and I think that sort of like a lot of people struggle with that, right? They're like, this should be more of a video game. I struggle with it, but at the same time, I can just sort of accept it for what it is and just be like, I'm going to appreciate this as an art project.
Well, yeah.
I just hope that it makes sense economically for them, because now a lot of people are even kind of funny in their interview with Ninja Theory. They threw it out there that like, are you guys worried about, you know, Microsoft closing the studio down because, like, you know, supposedly Hi-Fi Rush was successful and then Tango got closed down from it. And you know, I put out there that, you know, Ninja Theory's not on the chopping block because they are a co-dev studio for one thing. They also have facilities in the UK that Microsoft needs, like the motion capture studio, which other Microsoft studios use up there.
And didn't Windows Central also say that their next game's already been greenlit, or am I mistaken?
No, yeah, we reported that Ninja Theory's next game has been greenlit, and you know, that's not to say that it could get cancelled down the line. Like Scalebound got greenlit as well, right? I'm just curious, man. I just wonder, like, to what extent can you make art in this industry that is pure art for the sake of art? You know,
Right.
What's the economics look like?
Well, I mean, I got a lot more to say about Ski-Wars, okay? I got a lot more to say about the discourse. So, the thing that really, like I said, that really wowed me was the combat. I don't know, like, I understand it's very, very cinematic, but for me, it worked. Like, the desperation that you can feel with Senua, the push and pull of the combat itself, of parrying, knowing when to parry, knowing when to dodge roll, seeing all the different animations for it, and how brutal it can be. It almost like feels like the fights were essentially from some of like the Epic Fantasy series I read. I don't know. It really was a lot of fun. I played this game fully 2 times, guys, and pretty much almost a third playthrough, because I finished the game and I was like, damn, I really, really enjoyed this. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as the first game, because I do feel this game has a weaker story overall, and like what this game is all about is like the journey, is Senua's story and the things going on. So I think it has a weaker story than the first game, but I also think this one has better combat. And I remember replaying Hellblade 1 and being like, oh god, I gotta go through the combat, and the combat was very just serviceable, and it's like, oh god, I gotta do these puzzles
Looking
again.
to make a deal?
And while I didn't mind the rune matching in this one, I do feel that the other puzzles so you haven't gotten to the other puzzles in this game yet. They introduced different puzzles later on. Okay. I did not like those whatsoever. Those really, and I understand why
worse than the perspective puzzles.
Because I think the perspective puzzles are signposted a lot better in this game, where not only do they have the runes like flying around in where you should be standing, but the rune itself is color-coded differently than what else is in the environment. It's like they took the feedback, is like, people were like, we don't like these, and then Ninja Theory's like, well, we're still going to have them, but we're going to make sure that you basically can't miss it. Like, the very first one's like, you're in this, like, the rocks are brown and black, and the rune you have to find is like a bunch of sticks in red. It like stands out like a sore thumb. And even in the other ones you do, they're pretty much like that, where it's like something, a color for something you can match. But there are other puzzles that really just didn't work for me, even though I get it from like Senua sees the world differently than everybody else. And the other puzzles are all like perspective changes, perspective shifts. And it just, they felt more like time wasters than anything. Like I didn't really jive with them, and it was, it's like I'm kind of at the point where it's like I could do less with the puzzles and more with the combat, or more with the storytelling and stuff. Like I don't know. I was kind of at my limit with the puzzles. But I played through the game twice, because when you beat the game the first time, you unlock new narrators, right? Which I thought was super cool, because you know when you play the game, you got the Furies in your ear, but you also have the one voice that is kind of narrating the game. When you beat it, you unlock essentially your companions as narrators, and it's all new dialogue, and it's like kind of dialogue from essentially after the journey. Like they're sort of reflecting on what went on, and so it gives you more context of who those characters were, what they were doing, what Senua meant to them. So it really elevated the game, in my opinion. And that's when, like, even playing through it a second time, I still really enjoyed the combat. Granted, I played on hard. I did start off on like dynamic, but I felt it was too easy, so I did play it on hard to get at least some challenge out of it. But I was like, man, I really dig this combat. Even though it's super cinematic and there's like not much gameplay here, I was like, I'm really enjoying this. But then, okay, the reviews are coming, and I thought to myself, well, okay, how's this gonna review? And I'm thinking, it's like, well, it's really no different than the first game. It's just way more cinematic, and it looks much better. And the reviews started coming out, and right now, currently, the game sits at like an 81 Metacritic, which is pretty much the exact score the first game got. But I sort of feel, people in chat can correct me wrong, Jez, maybe if you feel differently, tell me. But it feels like the perception around Hellblade is that it's a failure, is that it's a mistake, is that this game missed its mark, that this game is a disappointment. Am I right on the mark on this? Is this what like it sort of seems like? Because it seems like the people who don't like this game are really making it known on social media that they didn't like it.
No, I disagree. Right? This is why I disagree. Everyone said the same people went out about like 20 million players. And also, right now,
20 million players. Last time they announced players was 13. Oh wait, is that elite? 20 million players from Starfield here for Discord.
Nah, shut up. Anyway, 13 million players, right? 13 million players, and it's trending. So big update, fixed a lot of things, polished a lot of stuff, improved some aspects of the game, right? And it's still being played, still being enjoyed. You know, could it be bad? Yeah. Could every single game be this close? Yeah. You know, I just think there's an element of Xbox tax. Everything Xbox does has to be that little bit further. They've got so much to prove. And it's not a direct comparison, I think, but I do think there is some elements here where it's like people will, if this was just an indie game, a third-party indie game, and that they weren't part of Xbox, I don't think there'd be anywhere near as much negativity, or anywhere near as much as like, oh god, this is total value, blah 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 blah, whatever, you know. So I think people had player expectations because Microsoft has, you know, infinite money, or at least that's the perception. Microsoft has got infinite money.
Hi.
And also because it's taken a really long time to get it out, so you would have thought like, well, you would have thought you would have seen more evolution. And I completely feel those criticisms, but I do think like the people that are being noisy about this, I think there's some FUD out there. I think there's some grift out there where
Oh,
people are like,
grifting.
yeah, there's definitely some grift. Like some people have just been like, I don't know how you can sit there and say I loved Hellblade 1, but man, Hellblade 2 sucks. And it's
I
like,
mean,
bro,
people are saying
they're
it, bro. People are saying it. Plenty of people are
that-
saying it.
I don't know why they're saying that though. Like, like why would you say that? I mean, yeah, you could argue maybe the story's not as good, maybe, but it's like, what were you expecting? Were you expecting something wildly different from what is it really? I don't get that argument because it's basically the same game.
I'm just saying there are a lot of people out there that are like, hey, I hate Hellblade 2, but I loved Hellblade 1.
Explain that to me.
I don't know.
Is there a legitimate reason to have that opinion?
I mean, some will say that they took some of the gamey aspects that the game did have, they removed in favor of more cinematic stuff. I don't know, because to me, Hellblade 2 is basically the same exact game as Hellblade 1.
That's my point. Like, is it really that different to warrant such a swing in your opinion?
But I also think people are softer on Hellblade 1 because it was made by 20 people in their independent studio, and I think people overlook or are willing to look past certain things, certain deficiencies in games, when they know it's a studio that has small limitations. And it's like, oh, you know, you're a small studio, the combat wasn't very good and was serviceable, we won't dock you hard. But now this is Hellblade with Microsoft money, and I sort of feel like any of the benefit of the doubt you could get, or Ninja Theory could have gotten, is thrown by the wayside because you don't give benefits of the doubts to first-party developers.
Should we be reviewing games on that basis?
I'm not saying people are reviewing games on that basis. I'm saying, like, I think some people subconsciously maybe have that, where it's even sometimes when I think of indie games, you are willing to overlook certain aspects of it because you know it's not. They don't have a $150 million budget and 200 people working on it. It's a group of 30 people, or sometimes a group of 5, or even 1. Like, people talk about Vampire Survivors. A dude made that game, what it is, and people glowing praise about it. But if, like, Microsoft or PlayStation or Nintendo made Vampire Survivors, I think you'd probably see a lot more criticism of it. You know what I mean?
Oh.
I don't know. Also, when did everybody sort of start hating walking sims? Like, that's the other thing, is like, oh, it's just a walking sim.
I can answer this.
You've always hated walking sims. So
always.
Well, no, I will say, you've always hated walking sims. But I find this idea of, like...
I don't hate them, it's not for me.
Right, but it's a different... not every game's a walking sim, and it's a different style of doing anything, but... like, some of the coolest games, especially some of the coolest games with, like, story... What Remains of Edith Finch... or Firewatch.
Let's take a look.
You know, these are games that the industry praised to the high heavens in years past, and now it's like, oh, it's just a walking sim. Right? I was listening to a roundtable podcast where people were playing this game, and one of the guys who was playing it, you know how he played Hellblade? Not on a beastly rig, on a monitor, right? Not on like a 77, OLED or whatever with headphones on. This guy, without any sense of, like, sarcasm, was like, my Hellblade experience was I remote played it to my Amazon Kindle when I had the chance, and I played it on my phone at the gym, and I didn't like the game. And that was his Hellblade 2. I'm not going to say who, but I'm just saying that was what a reviewer was like. He basically described how he played it. And it was like, I played it on my Amazon Kindle remote play, and I played it on the phone at the gym, and he didn't like the game. It's like, well, I mean, I can't imagine why you didn't like the game, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Oh, man. Not the most professional way to review a game.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes, I would agree, but... I don't know. Like I said, I sort of felt like the haters were out in full force talking about how much this game sucked. And, I brought this up earlier on the show I was on before, but there's also, like, there's a similar game, in a way. This game is if you rush, you can beat it in 5.5 hours. I think my first playthrough was 8. But there's a game that came out a couple years ago, similar length, about 5.5 hours. Also, not a lot of gameplay, a lot of walking forward. There are some puzzle-solving bits. Very similar Metacritic, right? Hellblade's an 81. This game was like an 83, so very, very similar. Except that game, all you heard about was praise. In fact, it was nominated for Game of the Year at the Keeleys.
Oh, what game is this?
That game is Stray, where you play as a cat.
But Rand, you play as a cat.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Play as a cat.
When you look at like both games and you're like, all right, you look at the critic reception to it and they're very similar, and it's like, all right, these both are sort of walking sims to certain degrees. They're both about the same length. They both about have the same amount of gameplay as each other, but one is sort of presented in this, oh, this is a miss. This is not what we expected. This is an Xbox L, while the other one's presented as, oh my god, look how cute this game is. Look at like the graphics. Like, oh my god, game of the year. And it's like two games that are like review-wise almost exactly the same, but the perception of both are completely, you know, one is over here, one's over there. It's like, what is?
Wonder why that?
I don't know. It's a interesting difference between the two, and I think that has to do with the fact that like Stray is an indie game by an indie studio, where I think people are more willing to overlook a lot of the flaws that certain titles have. Where now that Hellblade's under Microsoft, you don't get that benefit of the doubt anymore. People are going to nail you for any of that stuff and take out any of their, like, hey, I don't like walking sims, and you can really, even though Hellblade still has, even though this game has a great message,
you're
right?
avoiding going to the Xbox tax quite hard right now.
I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. maybe it is.
Oh man,
I'm just saying, like,
yeah, I don't know. There is definitely a double standard here, and I'm not from like everyone, for sure. But like some people, some YouTubers and some of the people where they've been like, oh, Hellblade 1 was amazing, but this sucks. It's like,
wait there.
You really legitimately say that? Like when they're not even that different, and you know, on the face of it, you know, at the very least you could be like, well, I'm disappointed in the story, but it's you know, it still gives me the Hellblade experience or whatever. I don't know. I haven't played the full game, so maybe I played Hellblade 1, but I haven't played Hellblade 2. Maybe there is some glaring problem with it that I'm not aware of right now, but for some reason I doubt it. For some reason I'm just inclined to believe that some people are hating for the pure fact that this is Xbox.
Sure.
And
let's take a look.
You know, and people have higher expectations of Xbox. Fair or not. You know, I'm not saying whether it's fair or not to have higher expectations. Maybe it is fair. But there does seem to be a double standard to some degree with some aspects of the discourse here, but
yeah, but I mean, you are right about like, okay, what's next? You look at the Steam numbers, you see what they're at, not very high. No. We don't know how many people are playing on Game Pass on PC. We don't know how many people are playing Game Pass on Xbox, but it's also a game that is essentially, you play it once, and you're done. You maybe play it twice. Doesn't seem like it's going to have a lot of longevity to it. So, what is the future?
You played it through twice, right?
Yeah, well, almost 3 times, yes.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I was reviewing the game and I wanted to experience it fully, and when I saw that there was new narration, I was like, okay, well, that's really cool. Let me play through this again. And but I started doing it, and I was like, wow, this is really like adds a lot to the game. I was like, let me play through the whole thing, but it's. I sort of wonder if, okay, Ninja Theory made the game they want to make, but at some point, you do have to think about, well, do people really want Hellblade? Right, because like, we don't know how it's doing, but judging on Steam, it's not doing the best, and it's like, maybe there's not a lot of interest in this game, or the franchise, or
It's the genre, man. I just honestly, I don't think.
I also think
people play different games in a different way.
Well, I also think
they're moving against the grain by making this such an arty kind of piece, and I appreciate that they're trying something new, to really sort of push the boundaries of what, you know, the AAA walking simulator could look like, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I really question whether or not there's demand for this. And at some point, you really have to ask, is this worth pursuing still? You know?
Well, what I was gonna say was, what was I gonna say? Now I forgot what I wanted to say.
Something about, I don't know. Probably. I hate when that happens, man.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought. I had something else I wanted to say about it. Something about like, yeah, it was along the lines of like, okay, so do you do something differently? Like, do you be like, all right, well, we're just gonna do Hellblade 3 no matter what, no matter if people don't really want it, we're still gonna do it because we as a studio want to do it. But then it's like, okay, well, no, we'll do Hellblade 3, but maybe we give them what they want. Less walking sim,
more of an action game.
You know, like less cinematic, but go towards more of a game. Which, okay, would that really work? I don't know.
I wonder, can you put a poll in chat? Sorry, go on.
So what I wanted to say was, I also think there's a release. It matters, like the release timing. And I don't think Hellblade I don't think it was a good thing for Hellblade to be the first game in 7 months that Xbox released. Where the last game came out was Forza Motorsport in October, and then nothing. And then in Developer Direct, here you have Hellblade 2, and it's the only game with the release date, May 21st. And then you got to wait 5 months for this game to come out after you've waited since 2019, right, when they revealed it, where it's sort of presented as like, this is the Xbox game of the year. Because even though we know there's other games coming at the end of the year, we don't know when they're releasing. It sort of feels like this was... you never really know, Xbox didn't really market it, and that's a whole other discussion. It felt like this was the Xbox main course of the year. Like, this was the main meal, when in reality...
Wasn't Avowed?
Well, we don't know when Avowed's releasing.
Well, 2024.
I know, but I'm saying when you're coming off of 7 months of Xbox not releasing anything, and then the only one that you have coming in the first half of the year is this, that by itself kind of lends itself to this game being more important than it should be, right? And so people look at it and be like, okay, this is the main course for the first half of the year, when honestly this game feels more like an appetizer. Like, you know when this game would have been perfect to release? A month after Starfield. Right? Where it's like, people play Starfield, you know, they play it for a long time, and it's like, oh, that was great. Because that...
Everyone said Starfield was mid too.
Yeah,
win.
Still. But, and then it's like, oh man, we still got Hellblade to check out. And then people play Hellblade. I don't know, I sort of feel like having it being the only release so far this year hurts it, because was
people taking out their frustration on Xbox.
Well, I mean, there may be some of that with like the studio closures and the third-party stuff going on, but it was like, this is the only game releasing in the first half of the year for Xbox, and I think people were you know, maybe pinning all their hopes and dreams on it, or it was like, oh, we waited for so long, and this, yeah, and then it's, you know, like a 6-7 hour game, and it is what it is. Where in reality, like, Hellblade should be, it should be an additive. It shouldn't be like the whole thing. It should be, like maybe it should be slotted after Avowed and Indiana Jones, where it's like, oh man, you come into the fall, it's like, what do you got? Oh, we got Gears Collection, we got Starfield DLC, we got Avowed, Indiana Jones, and then Hellblade right after, where it's like boom, 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 and it's all just a collection of games. And I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong for thinking that, but that was just a thought I had when I was like seeing some of the disappointment around there. Like, this was the flagship game, when it more feels like this is more of like an appetizer, or just should be like one of many, where it's like, here's your appetizer, here's your Gears collection, here's your Hellblade, here's your this, and then like, oh, the main course is Indiana Jones, enjoy, and oh, here's the Avowed, like, instead of
maybe they timed it this way because Game Pass churn is something they look at, like people unsubscribing to Game Pass month over month, and maybe they're thinking like, well, we need a Hellblade here so people don't unsubscribe. And then the showcase maybe keep people subscribed as well.
True. Yeah.
Just I would assume that they did consider when they should time the launch. But I think I want you to put in chat, Rant. I want you to put a poll in chat for me because I'm interested what chat thinks about this.
I'm surprised you can't make polls.
I can't make polls. I don't think moderators can make polls, unfortunately.
All right.
But I want to know
if. Poll?
Would people be more interested if Hellblade 3 was more of a traditional
want Hellblade?
Or do you want it to be more? Do you want it to be more walking simulator, or do you want them to make something new, or do you want Hellblade 3 to be more of an action game?
So how do I pose this question?
Should Ninja Theory make Hellblade 3 more of an action game?
You only have so many characters to work with.
Should Ninja Theory make HB3 an action game?
Do you want Hellblade 3 to be, and the first option is more of the same. Second option, an action RPG, right?
Or should they make something new?
Or what, new IP?
New IP.
All right. Well, I don't know if
I see a lot of people saying it's
the question, but all right, I'll put a new.
Well, so make something new. Like there's no demand for Hellblade at all.
Or make a new IP and shelve. Oh, I can't put that in. Whatever. Got the three things here. I see Gene Park is in the chat. What's going on, Gene? Gene Park says, okay, not bad art, just mediocre. The story was just not as good. I agree. I agree that the story doesn't reach the heights of Hellblade 1. At all. I think it's still a good story, and in some areas there are elements where it strives for greatness and almost achieves it, but it definitely never comes to the heights of Hellblade 1. And to be honest, like, that was part of the reason why I almost didn't want a sequel, because, alright, if you just take a look at the goals of each of these games side by side, right? The goal of Hellblade 2 is to what? Your goal in Hellblade 2 is to basically... No, your goal in Hellblade 2 is to stop the slavers. You're finding out where the slavers come from, and your goal is to stop the slavery that's going on, right? Because the Northmen come to your lands, and they've been coming to your lands forever, and that's how Dylan died. So, like, your goal is to stop the slavery.
True story, bud.
Right? In Hellblade 1, your goal is to take the head of your recently murdered loved one through the realms all the way unto Helheim and bargain with the god Hela to restore him to health, to restore him to life. I'm sorry, like, those two games' goals are so widely disconnected from one another. When you look at, like, just on the face value, it's like, well, yeah, like, Hellblade 1's story is going to be way more personal, way more introspective than Hellblade 2's. I mean, just when you put them side by side. So yes, like, Hellblade, that's why I was like, well, do you even really need to do a Hellblade 2? Because, like, you told a pretty goddamn emotional story. Like, I sort of feel like anything else you go afterwards isn't going to live up to that. And I don't think it did. I thought it almost got there in spots. And I don't know if, like, adding the new characters kind of took away from some of that, but that's just my opinion.
It's a true story about the way Iceland was founded, the Northmen and Scotland and stuff. I learned all about it when I went to Iceland, and I was like, oh wow, Hellblade's going in this direction. But yeah, when you put it like that about going to literal hell and all that kind of stuff and the potential fantasy aspects of it. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's crazy,
but enough help.
There's enough help. We have some super chats I need to get to. So we have let's see, what do we have here? We have where it was. Silas, remember for 7 months, says, how will the new Xbox strategy affect Xbox Sent and content creators? Can we expect content soon from Zelda, Eastwood, and Pony L4? I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm not really. Xbox is going to do whatever Xbox wants to do. They're not thinking about Randall 419 or Cold Eastwood or anybody else. So, like, whatever. Like, I'll just have to make content that, I'll make Xbox content. If I make other content, I'll have to do that. Like, lately I've also been, like, obviously because I read a lot, but, like, maybe I should make book content. I don't know if I would want to make book content on this channel, but to talk about stuff like that, but whatever. Everything's evolved. It can't be the same forever. Infurious One says, if all the Xbox games are going to PlayStation, then Microsoft should have just signed that contract offer Jim made, right? Yeah, I mean, looking back on it, it's kind of funny. It's like, I wonder if Sony would even have fought as hard as they did if, like, they knew that, like, the end result of all this happening would just be that they were going to get all of Xbox's games anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, would they have? I mean, I suppose you had to, because at the time it was like, oh, it's a shocker, and it was like, we got to stop this, but, like, you look where it all ended up, and it's kind of like, man, why did we go so hard trying to block it? We should have been trying to speed this up. Like, I don't know. Now they get all the Xbox games, or maybe a whole collection of them, I suppose. Souls Ninja with the 5. Avowed on Unreal 5.3 plus Xbox HEG plus the Coalition. Let's go. I think that's something you tweeted out earlier, yeah? Avowed on Unreal Engine 5.3.
Yeah, I was curious if it was already out there, because I was like, oh, I heard about this. Was this something that was already known or not? Apparently not, or at least I didn't know, so I guess other people didn't know either. But yeah, it's on Unreal Engine 5, uses Unreal's MetaHuman technology, I think now, or it's some part of it, and also Xbox's Project Acoustics, which is their environmental sound system that Hellblade uses.
I'll be interested to see, like, how much that game's improved from the Developer Direct in January.
I've heard it's significantly, it should have a significantly better showing of the Xbox show.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, it is coming out this fall. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing more about Avowed. DB Cooper with the 5. Don't get to catch you guys live very often, but I love listening to you on my podcast app. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you. Appreciate everybody who listens to the show on the podcast app like iTunes and Spotify. Michael Money with the 5. Xbox needs to do their 12-month release window show with all the games dated. No, sir. I hated that format when they did that, and I do not wish they would do that again. It's just asking for disaster, because the gaming industry is very volatile and things slip all the time. You're basically backing yourself in the corner, putting a shotgun in your mouth when nobody told you to do that. Like, nobody is telling you to be like, no, you need to make these arbitrary limitations on yourself and your showings, and then setting expectations for them. Like, you're doing that to yourself, and then if you don't deliver the game on time, people are like, you lied. It's like, nope, you know? We know why Xbox did it in 2022? Because they delayed Starfield and Redfall. They didn't have anything, so it was like, yeah, let's do this 12-month thing. And then they immediately went away from it the next year, so you know how that all played out. So no to the 12 months.
You don't like the 12 months, do you?
I don't like the 12 months.
I got a feeling.
Supernova with the
feeling
2.
that way.
Sorry for this, but the Nutella strategy is ass.
Nutella?
Yeah, the Satya strategy.
Oh.
Zone with the 199. Jez, based off what you know, could State of Decay 3 make 2025?
Yes.
Yes. So you think State of Decay 3 is next year, among like almost every other single game that Xbox is really making, huh?
Yes.
Man, they're gonna have a real huge 2025 then, because what else is supposed to come in 2025? Perfect Dark, Fable, Forza Horizon 6, if it doesn't come this year.
I think Fable could be delayed.
Oh, Fable could be delayed now. South of Midnight, Clockwork Revolution. Are they just gonna release all their games in 2025?
Yeah, maybe they just go, you know what?
Gear
fuck it.
6.
Let's load up 2025. Spend $1 billion on marketing. And
Let's
go.
load it up, and then when Grand Theft Auto finally picks this month, we're all gonna scurry away like roaches when the light comes on. Like, all right, no, we're setting it up. We're gonna come out in September, and we're gonna come out in October, and then here comes Rockstar, and like we're releasing September 15th, and then you just watch literally every single game. How far do you think people have to move away their release from Grand Theft Auto 6? A month? Like, all right, well, nothing's releasing within this cadence of one single month, because if you release your game around Grand Theft Auto 6, nobody will care. Right? What a perfect time to release Fable then, huh?
I'm not really interested in Grand Theft Auto, bro.
You will be when it comes out.
No, it's meh. It's fine.
Hitch wants to know with the 199 is Minecraft coming to Steam?
If you need fixing up, let's get
Probably not.
It
hasn't come to Steam yet.
There's some rumors about this because people noticed when data mining the recent Bedrock build that there are Steam references in the code. Microsoft's bought literally everything else to Steam. I personally think they will bring it to Steam.
Well, do you think Microsoft will bring it to Steam when Microsoft buys Steam and owns Steam? Like that rumor that popped up this week?
Yeah, so you don't know. A random Twitter account with they often tweet about stocks and shares and things like that. They suggested that Microsoft is gonna buy Steam, and obviously
for
the internet
$16 billion as well. They actually had a figure, and they were gonna buy Steam. Yes, and that kind of got traction for a day.
Yeah, for a day. How do you feel about that?
Well,
how do you feel about that being a possibility, a vague possibility?
I feel that Microsoft would love to own Steam, because that would solve all their PC problems. Because their PC problems are so many, and owning Steam would solve them all. But one, I think it would cost a lot more than $16 billion to buy Steam, and two, I do not think regulators would allow it. Period. So, yeah, I don't think it would happen. Even if they agreed and was like, we're gonna buy Steam for $30 billion, and now we own the PC market, I think EU would block that in a heartbeat. I think the CMA would block that in a heartbeat, and certainly the FTC would block that in a heartbeat. Microsoft with one of their own PC store literally buys the biggest PC store. Yeah, that shit wouldn't fly.
Nope. And you know, there is some recent precedent for some of this stuff. Like Adobe just tried to buy Canva, and all regulators globally was just like, no, we're not letting you buy that.
But then I suppose somebody's gonna have to buy Valve at some point, because I would imagine Gabe's not gonna want to do this forever. So
yeah, and Gabe isn't the only stakeholder.
Yeah.
Gabe isn't the only stakeholder. So like a lot of those, C-suite execs, they're gonna be like, we want to retire now, we want to sell, we want an exit. Every business has an exit strategy, even So they're gonna want to sell eventually, right? Or who knows? Maybe they'll turn it into a family business, like Quinton's in the UK, the bread business. We'll see. But yeah, I don't think regulators would be down for that.
I'm just trying to think like who regulators would be okay with coming in and purchasing Steam. if they ever decided to sell it one day. And I don't know, man. I don't know.
Apple.
I sort of wonder. There's a part of me that's like, even yeah, there's not that many companies that could afford it. But what would PC gamers do? Let's just say hypothetically. Let's just say you wake up one day and Microsoft bought Steam. Just say, hey, hypothetically, how do PC gamers react? How does Microsoft even run Steam? Are they hands off of Steam and they're just like, run how it's run and we're just breaking all the Steam stuff? Do they try to introduce like something where they get a bunch of monthly active users? Do they even care at that point? And then how do PC gamers react? Do they revolt? Like, we're gonna go to the Epic store. We're gonna go to GOG. I don't know. Like, would somebody from Valve who got their huge paycheck for the sale go create the Steam 2? That's basically Steam, but not owned by Microsoft. And does all the PC gamers go there then? Like, I would be curious to see how that would play out. Because usually if there's one group of gamers you don't really want to fuck with, it's PC gamers.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
Look what happened with Helldivers and like all that situation, and how they basically give Microsoft the middle finger with Games for Windows Live when they try to be like, you're going to pay for multiplayer, and PC gamers like, we're going to pirate your shit. Fuck you. Right? Like, how would those guys react? Especially if Microsoft came in to Steam and like, we don't feel too good about these hentai games on our platform. We're going to get rid of them. I'm sure they'd be like, no! Don't touch my hentai games! I don't know. I almost wanted to happen just to see come out of it. Talk about double agent of chaos. Dave Ramos with the 5. What if the only marketing at the end of the COD 6 intro in June was hashtag Game Pass? No Xbox, no PlayStation, just Game Pass. It would get the point across. Well, you're definitely going to have a platform, but I do agree that like Game Pass should be featured prominently, because this is your kind of one opportunity to really market Game Pass to people who don't know anything about it. So it really should be front and center in the marketing. Why the Racer? The $4.99. Everyone is going to upgrade to the PS5, PS5 Pro for GTA 6, especially if Sony gets the marketing. Xbox could have used COD to get people to upgrade to Xbox Series. I mean, if...
Yeah, I've wrote an article before that Microsoft should try and go for the
Since they got like 6 AAA games they're marketing this year. I mean, I don't know. I think Tom Henderson, while we were doing the podcast, where he said 48% of Call of Duty's audience on PlayStation. That's why. And people are wondering, like,
I've said this before, that so many millions of Xbox players are still on Xbox One as well, more than half. And half of Sony's are there as well. Because there's no reason to upgrade. Call of Duty, Fortnite, Minecraft, FIFA, all those games are still there. Being upgraded and updated and getting DLC and all that kind of stuff. Last gen never ended. It's still going on strong. Stronger than ever. So yeah, you don't just cut off those player base, especially if it's so expensive to manufacture.
Sean with the $4.99 says, I think the problem is Xbox's strategy won't show enough negative effects until it's too late to fix the patch. Are execs that dumb or do they not care? There's a word where it's like, we're gonna monitor this. Right now they haven't really starts affecting it negatively. Can you safely pull back and reassure everyone that it was like, no, it's over now. No more of this from us. We promise. We pinky swear. Even though we told you opposites before. I don't know. That is the thing. Like, once you get going that one direction, does it take time? for those negative things to show up. Rise with the 5. I'll never understand why having the best multiplayer shooter, Halo, driving game, Forza Horizon 5, and the best ARPG, Diablo, and the best Xbox are in a crisis.
Yeah, I mean, Xbox as a business is not in a crisis. I mean, Diablo's making money hand over fist right now. It's grown exponentially since Season 4. Fixed a lot of the crap that people were upset about with regards to itemization. They literally called the seasons literally called.
If you worked, you eat.
Basically.
It's as simple as that.
Because there's so much had to be fixed with the way they were handling loot, and they, to their credit, they absolutely delivered, you know. And people, I think it was Paul Tassel at an article this week, he said he's never been more addicted to Diablo ever. You know, he's like a big Diablo guy. So, yeah, it seems like Diablo's doing well. I think a lot of the fear revolves around the viability of the Xbox business as Xbox, right? And it's not about console war tribalism. It's about whether or not we'll still keep getting support from third-party devs. Because if the install base collapses, developers will just be like, well, it's not worth our time to do these ports. And we fought really hard to get games like Persona. I fought really hard to get games like Yakuza, and now it feels like Xbox, you know, is pulling back from maintaining that. So we'll have to see. It might all just be fine.
Let's see what else we got. We got Jamie. Perfect Dark, Fable, Indiana Jones, PS5 Pro / Xbox. Stanley Buffington with the $4.99. Jez, I disagree. Sony absolutely wants you to buy a PS5 as soon as possible. Last quarter, 4.5 million versus 800,000 consoles sold. Sony and Microsoft are not in the same position.
I mean, Sony maybe, but Microsoft genuinely, they're fine with it. Sony does care a lot about that hardware ecosystem because, you know, it pushes the industry forward, and it's kind of like, well, if there are more people on PlayStation, it sort of exacerbates the issue with the Xbox Series S, right? Because developers, some of them openly complain about having to develop for the Xbox Series S, and if again more and more people are on the higher end, the Xbox Series S increasingly becomes this really just big annoyance, you know, and an extra sort of noose around the Xbox's neck. Right? So yeah, I agree that PlayStation is in a slightly different position, but at the same time, they're also in a position where it's okay if people stick on last gen because they're making tons of money on last gen stuff.
But they are making a ton of money.
And that's why Sony themselves said they're looking at playtime hours now as a key performance indicator rather than hardware sales. So it's Sony saying this stuff too. Like they're not lying. They can't lie to the SEC.
Hey, do you know when the next PlayStation show is?
No, I don't. Isn't it rumored to be this month?
It's rumored to be end of May, which is next week, or this upcoming week rather. You know, normally PlayStation, when they do a showcase, they give you a week notice. They didn't this time, so does that mean this one's going to be a state of play where they focus on maybe Concord? Because we have gotten leaks from that Billy Gunn, I forget how to say his name. But he's like, we're going to get Concord information in the next 15 days and a new Astro game in the next 15 days. So something's happening, right? You got like all the showcases sort of happening. So is this going to be a state of play for PlayStation or... But I also think there's a PlayStation business event happening this week as well. Because you know how Sony had their investors meeting thing that happened this past week? PlayStation has their own dedicated one, I believe, this week as well. Or this upcoming week.
And then Phil Spencer is going to come walking out and be like, we want to announce that we're acquiring PlayStation.
Ball Forever Gaming with the 5. Thoughts on Rockstar will let you transfer GTA 5 online character to GTA 6? Maybe like a guaranteed money apartment, etc. How big would that be?
That is an interesting point because, you know, in the games, the service games that I play, people often wonder, like, well, what if they do do a Warcraft 2, for example? What the hell happens to all my characters? You know, I've got literally 20 years worth of investment in these characters, these mounts, this transmog. Like, it's hilarious because some of my mounts look like they've got PS1 graphics. They're so old. So what do they do with Grand Theft Auto Online, which is similar in it's not a full-blown MMO, but it's pretty similar with regards to how much people have invested. I don't play the game, so I don't know personally what kind of stuff you can even get in that game. You can get cars and houses, right? Stuff like that.
I mean, dude, I don't know what you can do in that game either, so I'm not really sure. I mean, you would think they would want people to be able to transfer something, because you could run into a situation where maybe they don't like Grand Theft Auto 6's online, so they go back and keep on playing 5. But I guess would
you mean like with Payday?
With Payday?
Payday as well, right?
Was like, would Rockstar even care at that point? You know, as long as they're playing something and spending money and getting, you know, shark cards. I don't know.
I mean, I'd have to hear from people in the chat. If any of you guys are big Grand Theft Auto Online players, how do you feel about the prospect of having to start over? You know, it's an interesting debate. I mean, some people like the idea of starting over. Which is why, like in World of Warcraft, there's servers where, like the WoW Classic servers, you literally start over. There's also hardcore servers where if you die, you die permanently and you lose your character completely. So some people like the idea of starting over fresh in a completely new iteration of the game. But other people just don't want to lose everything, which is understandable as well. How do you cater to all the different fan bases? Halo has this problem, Gears has this problem. You know, when a franchise becomes so old, it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and catering to all those different fan bases simultaneously is difficult even for Thread. Like, it's really funny with Diablo. You get some people who are like, it's not like Diablo 3 enough, and then other people are like, it's not like Diablo 2 enough. I see it in Fallout community as well. It's like some people, you know, hate all Todd Howard's games. Some people hate all the 3D games. I've even seen some people say, like, Fallout, you know, everything after Fallout 1 is bad. You know, stuff like that. So, yeah, it's hard to cater to a whole fan base.
Let's see here. We have Metal Machias with the $4.99. I want more games like Hellblade 2. I'm tired of 20 to 40 hour games that I'm never going to complete. Now that I have 2 kids and a wife.
With the Gunners.
That's a good
Are
point.
you here to help us out?
One of the reasons I've never played
I'm here to
Assassin's
help.
Creed Valhalla
What's the
is just 'cause
problem?
I know
It's
how
the
big it
Gunners.
is.
We
As someone
caught a group of
described
them
Assassin's
sneaking
Creed
around a
Valhalla
few
to me
days
as
ago,
being an
and
offline
we had a
MMO.
bit of a
It's that
dust-up.
big.
You know,
They ran off too easy
it's
once
funny
they saw
because
we were
the
gonna
game
fight
I
back.
played right before
Gunners
Hellblade
never
2
backed down
was
that
Stellar Blade,
If you can help us,
which is very
shore
much
up our
like a
defenses,
gamey game,
it sure
right?
would help us out a ton.
Oh,
Not a problem.
everything you kill,
Gunners
you
are
get
just
XP,
raiders
you
with
earn
better
all this
armor.
XP,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
buy
I'm
new
sure you're right.
moves for Eve.
We can do this. The Gunners will just
The
smash
story is a
everything
bunch of
they find here and
gobbledygook.
make
It doesn't make any
example of
sense, and it's just
So if
whatever.
there's something you can
It's
use
just
for
an excuse to
defenses,
kind of play,
feel free.
dress up with Eve. Right, like you have these open worlds where you can go around and run around and kill enemies and do side quests and fetch quests, all that sort of stuff. And then you have Hellblade, which is very much the exact opposite of that, where it's like laser focused, linear, no progression, no XP, none of the stuff that you would find in a game like Stellar Blade. And it's like, man, sometimes I'm bored with the best experiences. Like, I like Stellar Blade, but I also really like Hellblade 2. And sometimes you're down for a semi-open world game that really doesn't have a coherent story, but has some pretty dope gameplay that kind of ties it together for 40 hours, even though upstays its welcome towards the end. Trying to do too much, and the open world aspect of the game was sort of shoehorned in because they want to like, oh, well, you spent your $70 and you can get your 40 hours worth. Where people look at Hellblade and they're like, 50 hours for 5 hours? What are you, nuts? You know?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to what you were saying, like the timing, the release timing of Hellblade. It was important because it could have been a good palate cleanser between 2 bigger games, right? And I suppose it is in a way. There's not a huge amount of big games available right now, is there? I mean, I suppose that's another thing. Like, I'm just so addicted to service games. I'm a Gen Z gamer.
Yeah, sure thing.
I'm too addicted to service games to play a game like Hellblade.
Yeah.
I've been going so hard on Fallout 76. I've got like 400 hours played in that game. This is crazy.
Big Afroman with the 5. Happy Saturday. I'm seeing a clip go around of Colin bashing Hellblade 2 and saying he was right on questioning why Xbox bought Ninja Theory. What do you guys think? I mean, I've seen the clip, so I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I did see the clip and I actually replied to it. You know, and I think a lot of people focus too much on the games that developers make. When they're part of a platform or a publisher, there's a lot of co-development going on. You know, Ninja Theory is a prolific Unreal Engine developer. They are experts at photorealistic graphics. They have a state-of-the-art motion capture studio in the United Kingdom, where a lot of Xbox's other studios are. There's a lot of sideways value you can get out of a studio like Ninja Theory, even if they're not, you know, making the next Fortnite. You know. So there's a lot of value you can get out of Ninja Theory without them necessarily making these prolific games.
What did he say back?
Oh, nothing yet, but he did say that he wanted to come on next week 2+1 or something.
Really? He wants to come on again?
Yeah, he
wants to come on again and be like, I was right. Okay.
Yeah. Well, he was right about some stuff.
Yeah.
There's another game that's been blowing up this week that I'm curious if you've even heard of this. Right?
Okay. What's the game?
Kuri Cosmos in chat says, I'm with you, Jez. Playing Wuthering Waves. Have you heard of Wuthering Waves?
I have not heard of Wuthering Waves. What is this?
Carla.
Has anyone else in chat heard of Wuthering Waves?
Let's see what you have.
Now, this is a funny thing about how much of a bubble we live in, right? With regards to this console stuff. Wuthering Waves is just like Genshin Impact.
Okay.
And it is blowing up right now.
Who makes it?
Try it. A new studio, I think. It's a gacha game. It's on PC. It's on mobile, and it's really blowing up right now. Like Gen Z love it. It's not on Xbox. You know, those kind of games which we aren't even aware of. That's sort of has this almost generational gap to it. Like I saw some people in my team talking about, and they've published some articles on Wuthering Waves, and I'm like, oh god, why are they covering this Wuthering Waves game? No one's heard of this. And then I go and look at the traffic, and it's like, oh, actually, it's a huge game. So like, yeah, we're in a bubble, man. It's a Genshin competitor from Kuri Cosmos, says Kuro Games.
Speaking about traffic, you just reminded me about the fact that IGN is buying everybody.
Yeah, IGN
buying all their contemporaries. Hey, guess what? We're gonna have consolidation in the video game journalism arena. So
true.
IGN bought GameIndustry.biz. They bought Rock Paper Shotgun. They bought Eurogamer.
VG 24/7.
Yeah, and then they laid off a whole bunch of high-level people at those places immediately.
Yeah, they did. They laid off a load of senior staff that had been there for a while, presumably because they had a lot of, salary going in there. Well, comparatively a lot of salary. Game journalism is not the most highly paid show in the world.
It seems like the game journalism industry is following the video game industry closely. They're both going on acquisitions. Yeah, but I didn't see.
Yeah.
How do you, as a journalist who writes for Windows Central, how do you feel about this?
I don't care.
No, you don't care.
I don't really care. Like, I am a trained journalist, right? I'm not a trained journalist. I didn't go to university. I didn't go to college. I've always just been a blogger. I've always put out how I feel, my thoughts, all that kind of stuff. I'm learning how I go, right? I don't understand the game journalism world. I've never been a part of it. I've always been in tech. And I've always just been kind of separate, like, from that whole world. So a lot of it's completely alien to me. And, it sucks when people lose their jobs because of these kind of acquisitions. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. But like, for the rest of it, like, it's whatever. I'll still compete with them, and my North Star is to make Windows Central bigger than IGN. Somehow.
Someday, somehow. Or maybe you can just acquire them.
I'll bring it on. They can't afford us. Well, this is the thing. I can't criticize them for consolidation too much, because Future PLC, which owns Windows Central, is even bigger than IGN. So, yeah. There is this sort of media consolidation. This is my perspective on it, Rand. I think the reason this consolidation is happening is because a lot of media publishers have probably sensed that the big AI companies like Google, Microsoft, they're about to pay media publishers a lot of money in exchange for access to their content for training materials. So like, if IGN doesn't own a lot of properties, you know, IGN's a huge website with a wiki, but imagine if it owned even more properties. Imagine how much, you know, content they could potentially sell to an artificial intelligence company there. I have no idea if Future's going to do that either, but I don't know. Game journalism is a whole weird thing.
Yeah, it certainly seems like it.
People in chat saying IGN's going to buy Windows Central. Like, IGN can't afford Windows Central. They would have to buy Future PLC, which would cost them a lot of money. And I assume that would be more of a merger than an acquisition, because, you know, it's a very, very big company. But I don't know. You know, who knows what will happen? Because at the end of the day, publicly traded companies, everyone who invests in Future wants a return. And if IGN did offer a load of money, the IGN shareholders would approve it, presumably. And then I'd be the first person who gets laid off.
You know, you can say, like, some of the anti-acquisition people at some of these places were eerily quiet when this was going down.
Well, they're not involved. Then we're all victims of the system we're in. Yeah. It's not like.
Or you know, they didn't say anything because they are involved. They can't say anything.
It's not. Well, it's not like IGN's underpaid journalists are sitting there like, yeah, we should acquire.
No. I mean, like some of the journalists at like IGN who are very much against like any of the acquisitions, and then like IGN goes acquires a bunch of people, but you don't see them saying anything.
Yeah.
But I suppose when it's like close to home, you can't really say.
Yeah. I've gotten in trouble for talking shit about my company.
Oh.
Yeah, because we were only quiet a few years ago, and I still had this like startup mentality where I was like, you know, we're Windows Central, we don't need this big company. So I I did some feelings-based jazz things about some of my colleagues. Yeah, I got my ass in trouble. Speak before I think is my problem, Rand.
You gotta let things percolate before you just go to Twitter and take things, you know, say things that you shouldn't say. Or come on a podcast and say things like 20 million players for Starfield.
I mean, editorial
stuff like that.
Like Windows Central is owned by your cousin. No work, a parent company, but editorial. Editorially speaking, like they have no involvement in what we do whatsoever. I'd prefer a little bit more involvement, to be honest. But like, they just let us do our own thing, you know, which is great. You know, Dan Rubino runs Windows Central like he has done for the last however many years. God knows how long Dan's been doing it at this point. Back in the Windows Mobile days, when it was called WP Central. I don't know. I'll always be here doing my own thing, even if like Windows Central got shut down. I'd go to YouTube or something, you know.
You bring back Xbox Mad.
I actually sold the domain. I gave I didn't sell it. I gave it back to my co-founder Liam. I founded Xbox Mad with a chap called Liam, and he said he wanted the domain so he could play around with it, and I was like, sure man, you have it. I don't think they did anything with it, but you know, I would, you know what I'd do if Windows Central shut down? I would start writing my articles right on the Patreon, patreon.com/HB2. I'd start writing the articles straight into that, and people come and follow our content there, you know, and then carry on with the podcast.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
The multi-plat 2.
The multi-plat 2, yeah.
That's a good name. DB with the 199 mentioning the Xbox tax. So much cringe.
Yeah, it's kind of tongue-in-cheek though.
Supernova with the 5 revealing game with new Xbox generation. What does that mean? Logic says it's a big AAA game when it was an indie one. Not necessarily. I don't agree with that. Maybe it'd be better served if Hellblade came out earlier in the gen, because people kind of call it like a tech demo for Unreal Engine 5, and maybe that's more accepted like a couple years in. But also, I did see a lot of some of these reviews like 7 years. How could you work on this game for 7 years? And it's like, bro, the game's in development for like 3.5. But you know, people just look at like when the last game ended and when the new one comes out. Wesley Mitchell with the $4.99. Xbox makes too many games for all to be exclusive. Set a number, say 15 per generation. That's only on Xbox. Clear marketing, never port them. Yeah, somehow I don't think that's going to be how that works. I don't even think they really know at this point either. Jamie Camp, Hellblade are 21st century Down Bluth games. Big Afroman says it just feels like Xbox games nowadays is being held up to pretty high and unreasonable standards, and I wonder why that is, or am I bugging? Well, I think first-party studio games from everybody are held up to a pretty high standard, or higher standard than some other games. But I think they're all sort of held up to the same standard, maybe? I don't know. So I think we did, maybe I missed it, but I think we did have one. Like Space Dovican said, member for 37 months. If Hellblade 2 was a PlayStation exclusive, the media and PlayStation folks would be shouting from the rooftops nonstop about its visual and technical achievement.
I don't know. There's no crystal ball about how people reacted if it was on PlayStation. I mean, the scores did end up being the same. But I did think it was weird how some outlets, and even some reviewers, were like, this is 10 out of 10, Hellblade 1, and then Hellblade 2 is 5 out of 10. Like, the dramatic disparity, like, has to be... They're not that different in my head, but maybe I'm wrong.
Clutch says, thoughts on whether we see the Gears collection at the showcase. We talked about that earlier, and I think we both said that we both believe we will see it and actually release this year. I don't see, if it shows up, I don't see why you would show it off a year in advance. But yeah, we talked about that at the beginning of the show. Big Afroman with the 5. Also, what's up with the screenshot everyone is sharing of a dude leaking Xbox third-party stuff and third parties making Xboxes predicted back in January?
Okay, so in January, a Discord screenshot was floating around saying that everything was going multi-plat and that Xbox was going to make third-party hardware and stuff like that. And that was like one of the screenshots that inspired me to say, this is all a load of bullshit, right? I was awash with rumors in January, and also I was taking a little break from work, and I was getting tons of DMs about these screenshots and these rumors and stuff, and I was just like, oh, this is just all bullshit, you know? Exasperatedly tweeted out that it was bullshit. But I do think, like, increasingly there's a lot of elements of truth in this, and this is just my opinion based on ongoing investigations, right? So Sarah Bond said that they're working on a preservation platform for the current Xbox ecosystem, and you know, if you have to have a preservation platform, that would presume that the next Xbox is probably going to have somewhat of a different architecture potentially, right? Phil Spencer said in interviews with Polygon that they want to get the Epic Games Store and itch.io and stuff like Good Old Games, GOG.com onto the next Xbox, right? In order for that to happen, you kind of need Windows. You kind of need the Windows development environment for that to happen. And the idea there is that developers will be able to get their games onto Xbox much more easily if it had full platform interfacing with Windows, full-blown Windows. At the same time, full-blown Windows is an issue for a gaming device because, as we've seen from the Asus ROG Ally, Windows is annoying when the only peripheral you've got is a controller. So if you want to plug, a PC to a TV, you've still got to log in with the mouse and keyboard and do all that kind of stuff and deal with the control panel and, you know, the full-blown Windows. But a lot of people don't want to deal with any of that hassle. They just want a device that looks good on their TV, you know, and works really well. And that's why Steam works really well on a handheld, because you've got Steam Big Picture mode. It boots up into Steam Big Picture mode and it works with a controller. So my opinion and my theory, pending ongoing investigations, is that the next Xbox will be a version of Windows that looks like Xbox that we have today, but the underlying technology behind it is, you know, almost full fat Windows, right? Whereas, like, I have no idea if you'll be able to boot into a desktop and do that kind of stuff like you can on the Steam Deck. Because on the Steam Deck, you can boot it into Linux, boot it into the Linux desktop environment, and then you can sideload things onto it like Battle.net. You can sideload the Genshin Impact launcher, because Genshin Impact isn't on Steam, and all that kind of stuff. So, like, maybe the next Xbox lets you do some of that stuff. So if there is a more gaming-focused version of Windows, why wouldn't you license that out to OEMs at that point? You know, why not say to Asus, instead of using this full-fat version of Windows, which is not a great experience on touch or a controller, use this Xboxy version of Windows instead and make your handheld that way. We're going to make our handheld too. Ours is probably going to be cheaper because ours is subsidized with the store. But if you want to make a more powerful version using your own chips or whatever that's more expensive, then go ahead. You know, pretty much like the PC ecosystem today. So I think that might be how it goes down. And again, this is my prediction, my speculation, my opinion. But there'll always be affordable Xbox consoles that give you a console-like experience today. And yeah, we'll see. I think you're going to see potentially some form of hardware teaser show.
Maybe. Editon with the 5. The story was a folie du, a group psychosis, people believing things that are not really there. As a medic, it was such a magnificent representation. RDX Uneffet with the $13.99. Game Pass could have made more money by selling early access for $10 for every game. I paid to play Starfield early and no regrets. Is Dreamcast guy the ultimate Sony pony? He hates every Xbox game. I mean, they probably could make more money by selling early access for $10. And they do it in games that actually have extra content that they could sell alongside it. Because I'm not sure they want to actually just sell early access. You have to have, like, content going along with it. So Forza Horizon with the 2 expansions, or car packs, Starfield with the first expansion. Those, like, okay, we'll give you 5 days early access, or 4 days early access. But something like Hellblade 2, which probably is not going to have any DLC, you would just be buying or selling the early access, and nobody's really done that. I know Ubisoft gets a little crazy with the prices for the new Star Wars and Assassin's Creed, but they are selling other content alongside, you know, like, it seems to be more of a perk, like, oh, you get all this other stuff, and you get to play it 3 days early. So, like, I'm sort of wondering, like, Avowed, would they do early access with Avowed? Is Avowed big enough to do early access? Do they actually have expansions lined up where it would make sense to have a $99 version to play Avowed 4 days early? Or Indiana Jones, does that plan on having any sort of content that comes later? Or is that just going to be like Hellblade, where it's like, no, that's just the game and you're going to get it day one? You know? What do you think? What do you think about Avowed? Would Avowed have early access, Jazz?
Probably.
You think so? You think
AAA is just do that kind of thing.
But you don't. But you don't think Indiana Jones will?
Why not?
Because I don't think they'll have anything to sell with it. I don't think. Do you think Indiana Jones is going to have like a DLC expansion?
I mean, you don't have to sell a DLC expansion. You could sell, I don't know, an alternative hat.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You could have whip skins.
Yeah, not happening, Jazz. No.
You could bring in the laser whip from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Have you seen the lightsaber whip from Star Wars that's causing controversy right now?
Yeah, I didn't know it was causing
Fuck it, put that
controversy.
in
I
there.
saw that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's causing controversy, man. I mean, it's LucasArts, it's Disney. They own Indiana Jones. Put the lightsaber whip in there for Indy, and then boom, you know, sell that for $100.
Bishop with 10. I think Microsoft needs to deal with Steam, get Steam on their next console, and have Game Pass integration on Steam. Give Valve a cut for Game Pass subs through Steam. And there could be huge PC growth. You know, I sort of feel like if Valve wanted Game Pass on Steam, it would be on Steam already.
Or maybe they're working out the terms of the deal.
I don't know. They seem like it's been working out the terms for a while now. I don't know. I wonder if Valve's just like...
Maybe it depends on getting Windows onto Xbox first, so you can get Steam on Xbox. I don't know. I wanna quickly react before we do the next super chat. I wanna quickly react to this poll. So
okay, what's
900 people voted.
900 people. Okay.
901 votes. Do you want Hellblade 3? 42% make a new IP. So it's pretty split.
Yeah, 42% say make a new IP. 30% say an action RPG. I'm assuming like God of War. 27% more of the same. So
most people seem to agree that they should do something. They should evolve Hellblade 3. I kind of get the impression. But yeah, I don't know. The Hellblade discussion will be on.
No, I mean it's an interesting business discussion. I think of like okay. And obviously we don't know the true numbers of what Hellblade costs to make, what they're looking for on return on investment, what the numbers are, what they're projected to be in a year. Is it going to be going to other platforms in a year? I don't know. I think I told you this when I was playing through the game early.